Want to do our Super Bowl question?
Sure.
Pay-per-view, foreign country.
Should we say a pay-per-view Super Bowl or a streaming Super Bowl? I mean,
technically, you're streaming only Super Bowl is what you mean.
Yeah.
Because technically the game's on Paramount.
We'll put a pay-per-view. Great morning, guys. That away, Benny. I like that type.
Wow. All right.
You know, I could have really stopped for a Gatorade this morning.
Yeah.
I should have.
Is there any in the vending machine?
There probably is. Yep.
Then you can get a really overpriced Gatorade.
Yeah, I can get one for like $3. David, how's the family?
All things considered, pretty good.
Good.
So the birthday was yesterday?
Technically, yes. Party is tomorrow. We, of course, in this house, because, it's a 3-day celebration. Right.
As well it should be. For who? The parents or the kid?
Of course, for the parents and the grandparents and the great-grandmother, because the kids, too. Like, the kids can remember any of this. Please.
Oh, no. I was just trying to figure out if it was for the grandparents or the parents, because one was a big one because that's, the parents celebrate getting through the first year with the kid, that they
right.
something.
Right. Well, I mean, I will say, I do think the grandparents should celebrate all that they're financing.
Okay. Trent.
What?
Trent. Gatorade.
I don't. Oh, here. It must have been here somewhere.
Keep
Gainesville?
going. And keep going a little right. What's in Gainesville? The University of what?
Florida.
There you go.
Okay. That makes sense. See, I've never put that together. Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you, where it is the first Friday of February, and there's no football this weekend. But do you know what today is? Today's the Football Friday.
Football Friday?
Happy you have Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Damn right, Mark. Although I have to admit, I was a little worried there. You were like halfway down the Ron Burgundy roll. I was just like, whoa, just make sure you stop before you get to the end.
You know, I have never, ever read off a teleprompter. Never, I didn't have I didn't study communications in college, so I didn't get any of that.
Right.
And I know you're the one who's always said that's a lot harder.
Yes.
Than it seems.
Well, there's two things about it. First off, the person operating the prompter, if in fact a person is still doing it and it's not being done, because even when I haven't done local TV in 20 years, but 20 years last week, actually. But when I was leaving the business, sometimes you had it set up where literally the anchor could, almost like with a click of the mouse and what have you, we could control the speed of the prompter sometimes. There were some prompters that were set up in which it didn't need a prompter operator. But the first key, Mark, is that the person operating the prompter has to do the words at the speed in which you read them. Also, in theory, you want the line that you're on to be in the middle of the screen, not at the top, not at the bottom. First off, you don't want the eyes to be following it because, you want to give the appearance that somehow, some way you're looking directly at the viewer and you're just rattling off this story about the transportation strike as if the words are not in front of you. And it actually takes a little bit of skill to learn to read the screen without your eyes moving, because you don't want to give it away either. So it is. It's a little bit. You'd be surprised when you see some people who aren't that great at the prompter. The eyes get like manhole covers.
Well, I remember, and I don't know if it was in Boston or where he was playing, but Danny Ainge did the local sports, and I remember them making a deal on it. And he was the one who said, "Wow, that's a lot harder than I thought."
Sure.
And this is years ago, but just he talked about reading the prompter and just that it was had a little more respect for the people sitting in those chairs after he tried to do it.
It is a skill. Okay. And then you can go back to thinking of us as the way Bob Seger did, the bubble-headed bleach blonde that comes on at 5. And trust me, it applies to the men too. But yes, there is actually a touch of skill. Then your hair's got to be right. And if you're a guy, the tie. Okay, the two most important things, hair and tie. Okay, you could be a moron. All right, if you have good hair and your tie is tied properly, honestly, and just somehow come across likable. Some morons are not likable. Some morons are. And that's all. Just be likable. Toughest skill to acquire, by the way, likability. And once someone has it, you never get rid of them. Ever. Yeah, I don't know what the sports equivalent is. Winning? So-and-so's a winner. Okay, we'll keep them around until, whatever. I mean, Mark, coaches have their favorites. Okay, they go to a new city. Who do they bring in? They bring in, the equivalent of the teacher's pet. Why? We win with him. I don't know what to say. I mean, Haslam. The Heat would still have Haslam on the roster if he wasn't finally like, you know what, I really got to give it up. They're like, are you sure? I mean, it's not like you're playing. You come here, you work out. You yell at the guys when they need yelling. So that's all.
I do think you're right on the sports equivalent. It's that it factor. It's the winning that they can't. Yeah. He's just a winner. He's got that it factor. Don't know what it is. He's got it.
Yeah.
This guy doesn't. He does.
Yeah. I mean, come on, let's face it right now. Half the league that's in it and covering it is mesmerized by Brock Purdy. They're like, what is it? I mean, look at him. He's not big. He's not strong. But what did we see last week? Quick little sucker, huh?
Gamer,
winner. It doesn't always make the smart play. Hell, he's throwing the ball across his body down the middle of the field. Not every play is smart, yet somehow, some way, the ball mostly gets there. Guys like him. Guys respond to him. What was the first thing they said about Purdy when he took over midway through last year? Jimmy G was in the huddle. Trey Lance was in the huddle. And who was the guy who took control of the huddle? Like, they were talking. There was it might have been his first game. And he's in the huddle, and some of the veterans are talking, and Purdy told them all to shut the blank up. And the veterans looked at him like, okay. All right, dude. You want to take this train and try to take it down the tracks? Let's see what you got. So, anyway. Yes, it is a skill. And, there's not much after that in local news. I got to be honest with you. The skilled people are the people that you don't see. They're the talented ones, and the camera people and what have you. That's the skill.
Hey,
us anchors.
There's a lot of it the same way about when we watch football on Sunday. The talent's the people in the truck.
Right.
Not necessarily the ones we're listening to.
No doubt about it. For as much as Burkhart and Olsen are getting, kudos for the job they did, trust me, Richie Science and Rich Russo are doing a far better job producing and directing that sucker.
And
better job.
And then all the people in that room, the replay people, the people that are doing the switcher work is just amazing to me.
Yep.
Of the person that's going, the amount of information that's going through that person's ear and having to translate it and get it out. It's great stuff. Great stuff.
It really is. So, but yeah, nice way to start the show. And as people are pointing out, the Twitch chat room. Yeah, I even went Bob Seger.
Even though it's Don Henley that sings the song.
It was Don Henley who did Bubbleheaded Bleach Pond?
Yeah.
That comes on
That's
at
why
5?
he's got Seger with the 3 question marks after it. And I just said, forget it, he's rolling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Germans bomb Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, once again, at this hour, the wires aren't all touching at this hour. I mean, that doesn't start till, sometime between the starting 5 and the play of the day. That's
you
really
think the starting 5 is actually for you on this show, when in fact that's just David's time to get his wires completely connected.
Right. Basically, the starting 5 on my sheet, you know what it says? Get your head out of your that's what the segment's called on my sheet. Right. So that's right. It is Don Henley. Germans bomb Pearl Harbor. I'll be damned. Miller and Moulton on this Football Friday because, Pat Kirwan's going to be on. And he's been at the Senior Bowl all week. Did you hear the most fascinating thing that I believe came out of Mobile this week? So on Tuesday and Wednesday, the quarterbacks and the receivers were struggling. And they were struggling with the ball. Everybody was saying the ball was slick. The ball was slick. All right. And of course, they've got the footballs they've got. And, you got the scouts and everybody that are like, these guys are just making excuses. Yeah. Bo Nix went out after practice Wednesday, went and found like 24 used footballs, brought them to the Senior Bowl yesterday. They threw and caught the scuffed up footballs. Everybody performed a lot better. I'll be damned.
Look at Bo Nix.
Yeah. I'll be damned. Is this the equivalent of, in golf, it's not this way. Did you ever think that you don't play well with the new golf balls? Like when you take them right out of the sleeve, you go, man, is there any way I could rough these up a little bit? I don't want to put a smile in it. I just want to, can I bounce one off a cart path early? Can I just scuff it up a little bit? Then this sucker will be broken in. It'll be ready for my game.
Love the cart path reference because the other day I happened to hit one and I looked at, cart path. Yeah. And I'm not one of those that would ever put the ball away because it's got a scuff mark on it. I'm not good enough. It's like, I'm not retiring this golf ball. I'm an 11 handicap. We're going to keep playing.
Right. Like you missed that putt because of the scratch from the golf cart on 13.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Right. Good for you. But I have to admit, sometimes, you break out the new sleeve and I used to just stare at it and go, I don't know. These balls look too good. Too good. You can't, it's not like a pitcher getting a new ball and he goes behind the mound and, he starts working it and you put some dirt on it. And,
could you imagine if Tiger pulled out the new golf ball and you're seeing him on 7T and he's working the golf ball and he's bouncing it off the cart path a couple of times.
Yes, he's rubbing it in some
Grabs
dirt.
a rosin bag. So, I mean,
Yes. Wouldn't that be, and everybody going, what's he doing? I think he's working it in, Jim. But Miller and Moulton. So it's a football Friday because we're going to pack Kirwan and Mobile. And, we'll ask them how people looked with the slick footballs and then with the broken in footballs.
Did you guys watch any of the skills competition last night at the Pro Bowl games?
Oh, my goodness. He didn't.
that's how he opened his mic today. He nearly got fired before the show.
What?
He doesn't even realize it.
Well, what did he do?
He didn't know where Gatorade was invented. You work for the Florida Sports Network. That's probably my fault for not putting that in the interview questions.
So you never put one-on-one together there, huh?
No, I didn't. Mark talked me through it, and I got there. But I had to figure that out for myself.
Can I ask a question? How long was the talking through process? I mean,
10 seconds probably.
I was going to say, it doesn't seem to be much of a process. I mean, okay. All right.
Mark was just like, Trent. So I knew it had to be something obvious. Gatorade. Okay.
All right. So your wires aren't touching either. So it's not just the old guys. All right, good.
No, he looked a lot like Wisconsin in the second half this morning after that.
Woo-wee. Damn. Top 10 team in the country, up 16 at the half. I don't think so.
120-0 when taking a 15-point or greater lead into the half. They'd never, ever lost.
Well, till last night. That'll be part of the starting five. That's the biggest basketball win for Nebraska in a long time. Hell.
Biggest sporting win. Well, their volleyball teams won championships. I mean, we can't discount that.
Exactly.
Maybe on the men's side.
Yes, it is. That's the biggest men's athletic accomplishment in Nebraska since like the George W. Bush administration. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
If you're in love and thinking about a diamond, you'll want to hear from my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When purchasing a diamond, you deserve a relaxed, stress-free, and educational experience. You want to have a good time and feel comfortable. You want selection, quality, and value.
At the Diamond District, you'll get it all. With our team of non-commissioned diamond advisors, no one's in a rush. We care only about you and making sure your needs and wishes are fulfilled.
You'll be wowed by our selection of GIA-certified diamonds, stunning diamond bracelets, earrings, pre-owned Rolex watches, exotic ruby, sapphire, emerald, and tanzanite jewelry. There's something for everyone at the Diamond District, and all at the lowest prices anywhere.
Jason and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day. We look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
DC, Joe and Troy have done 6 Super Bowls, and the last one they did, I was lucky enough to be a part of, and it was the Niners-Chiefs Super Bowl in Miami. When are we going to get a Super Bowl again? Golly. And we went Miami, Tampa. And then it's LA, Phoenix, Vegas, New Orleans, San Francisco, LA. 5 out of 6 out there. Well, Nashville will get one.
I'll tell you what, Nashville could end up replacing New Orleans on the rotation.
Nashville is made for events like that. The SEC tournament, that was awesome. I can't imagine what the Super Bowl would be like.
Does Nashville now have enough hotels?
That's a good question. I don't really know. There's only a couple downtown.
You do? Because I know they're constantly building, and I know they've added a lot of hotels. Does Nashville have enough hotels?
And if they don't, they will by the time that dome's done.
Because like they're adding hotels in and around AT&T Stadium in Dallas so that they can get more events. They've just built 2 new hotels. It's part of the reason why they're getting the World Cup final in Dallas. No, DC, you've got to get your credential request in like mid-December. And so we would have had to have basically had it sold. And that ain't happening right now. A West Coast radio row for us would be so much hard work. Golly, the days would be so long. Editing. Ugh.
You know, I was listening to a little of the Dan Patrick show yesterday. He did point out that Caitlin Clark's going to pass Maravich.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that. We did Radio Row 3 times. 2 in Miami, 1 in Tampa.
And I did Jacksonville before Mark.
Here we go. Now here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Pat Kirwan live from the Senior Bowl in about 90 minutes' time here on Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. And that's why it is still a Football Friday.
Football Friday.
And you could argue that the biggest story of the day yesterday was NFL related. Bunch of coaching news, including the final head coach vacancy filled. Your thoughts, Mark, on Dan Quinn to the Commanders?
Like a lot of people, I don't want to say it incomplete, but who's the offensive coordinator going to be? Because I think a lot depends on who his staff is and how well this works.
Well, that's a great point you bring up, Mark, because the first name that has been brought up is Chip Kelly as offensive coordinator. Now, Chip's name came up a couple weeks ago. There was a report, Chip might be interested in leaving college and going to the NFL. And the reason that I use that voice is because 2 weeks ago, when that report came out, the thought in the industry was Chip is trying to create leverage on UCLA so that they'll extend his contract. My understanding, though, of his contract is if he were to leave now, he has to write a pretty sizable check back to UCLA. If he stays one more year, it's either nothing on the check or very little. So there were a lot of people that knew his contract who were saying, yeah, he ain't leaving now because he'll basically work 2 years in the NFL for free if he leaves now. But now his name has come up again, Mark. So maybe there is some there.
What
Maybe.
would you think about Chip Kelly as an OC in the NFL?
Well, I wouldn't be against it. Chip's a lot more flexible. It's not like Chip is just like, this is my system and, we'll fit square pegs into round holes. I mean, Chip takes a look at the talent that's around him. I mean, remember that season he put together with the Eagles, Nick Foles, 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Nick Foles was like a 3rd, 4th round pick at Arizona who hadn't played. Chip's doesn't have the greatest people skills in the world, but if he's not the head coach, I don't think it matters. Although everybody's making a big deal about Vic Fangio in Miami and his people skills.
Right. And the defense played really well until it got hurt. So I'm trying to figure out why the people skills matter. They were a top 10 defense until the defense got banged up at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I
mean, there's
David, you and I have sometimes lacked people skills when it comes to business type things. So we can look at the Fangios and the Chip Kellys of the world and going, yeah, if it works, just do what they say. This isn't that hard.
So, put it this way. Cliff Kingsbury is offensive coordinator. Chip Kelly is offensive coordinator. Cliff took Arizona to the playoffs once, with Kyler Murray, but he was brought into that job because of Kyler Murray. He coached him on Saturdays, and Arizona said, well, they might as well bring in the guy who coached him on Saturdays if we're going to get the most out of him. But now Cliff Kingsbury is reportedly going to be hired to be somebody else's offensive coordinator without Kyler Murray. So whose play calling would you have more faith in next year? Chip Kelly in Washington or Cliff Kingsbury in Vegas?
Chip Kelly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't mind choice B. I really don't. I think Kingsbury could sell a lot of people on what his offensive vision is, and it very well could be a strong one.
So, but Dan Quinn, who clearly was a fallback candidate, clearly, but so was John Wooden back in the day. He was no better than the 4th choice, apparently, for the UCLA gig. It reportedly worked out okay. So, sometimes the fallback candidate we end up laughing about 4, 5, 6 years down the road. Thank goodness so-and-so didn't take the job. I mean, Nick Saban was not the first choice for Alabama, by the way. Rich Rodriguez took the job, went home. His wife said, I don't want to go to Tuscaloosa. I don't want any part of Tuscaloosa. And by the way, you have a team that can win the national championship here next year. What are we doing? And Rich Rod woke up and told Alabama, no, I'm good. Wait a minute. I thought you were at West Virginia. Yeah, I'm staying. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you don't like
Okay.
Tuscaloosa, but you're going to stay in Morgantown, West
Morgantown.
Virginia.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, funny things happen. Ben Johnson would rather stay offense coordinator in Detroit than be head coach of the Commanders.
By the way, did you happen to catch who was really upset about the way that's because Adam Schefter tweeted out that Ben Johnson apparently wanted what he wanted was more than teams were willing to pay him.
Right. A big ask, Ben Johnson.
Big ask. And Mike Florio is up in arms over Adam Schefter's people not taking Adam Schefter's accountability into question for making that tweet. Mike Florio, who makes things up daily.
Mike Florio, who is the king of this may happen. Well, yes, and I may get hit by a bus later today. Yes.
These are three people who didn't sleep in my bedroom last night. Right.
But yes, Mike Florio, outraged that Adam Schefter is getting a pass. Lighten up, Francis.
And then had to put in there, we used to be friends, but we're not anymore.
Yes. Felt it was important to set the record straight.
Because the one thing we all were wondering about was Mike Florio's relationship status with other members of the media.
Oh, he's not ratting on a friend there, is he? All righty then.
I couldn't help it. It made me smile.
Oh, yeah. Nothing like a little media on media crime, right? Media on media hate. Nothing as important as the media just ask the media. Right. Absolutely.
Did you guys ever have beef with any local media down here?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. There was, oh, man. I'm brutally honest. When we were together and only in Southwest Florida, and we did our show for 10 years together, there were two other shows. One while we were doing it, and then one that came after us. They hated us. We never knew who any of them were. We never met them. We never spoke to them. They hated us. Said bad things about us on the air. All right. I literally wouldn't know any of these hosts if they walked up to me and punched me in the mouth. Mark, would you know them?
Now I would.
Okay. I still wouldn't know them.
Now I would because I've seen them.
Okay.
Now I would recognize them. But
yes,
for the majority of the time, the same as David.
Yes.
I was just curious.
And one of those guys is now working nationally. I mean, he's the producer of a big national show. Yeah, took shots at us all the time. And I would be like, who are you talking? Who is this guy? Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, Trent. I mean, we're worthy of, taking shots at. I mean, we know on a scale of 1 to 10, we're somewhere between a 3.5 and a 6. We got it. Okay. But still, you at least have to be a 3.5. I'm sorry. You can't be a 1.4 and coming after 3.5. Sorry. That's not how it works.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Hi, I'm Jason.
And I'm Todd with the Diamond District. I believe in complete transparency. If you're shopping for diamonds in Naples, you're paying too much. If you're shopping in the Cape or Fort Myers, you also won't see the selection you deserve to have. If you're online, there's no human connection, and you won't know if your diamond is beautiful or not until it shows up in the mail.
Just because it's GIA certified doesn't mean it's brilliant. There's so much more to a diamond than its cut, color, and clarity that makes it beautiful. Visit us at the Diamond District for a non-commissioned and educational presentation and quit paying more in Naples or buying blind from the internet. The Diamond District has the rarest diamonds from half carat to 10 carats. You won't find a bigger selection or better value.
And you won't find a better buying experience. Jason and I are in the store nearly every day, and we look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Trent, I've never understood the whole competition feelings that a lot of people who work in the same market have towards each other. Because I always looked at it as, listen, there aren't many of us. We know the hours that we're working. We know what each other's job entails. And the viewers, they make up their own mind. Who cares?
Right. Plus,
I mean, you know, they like Mark. They like me. Whatever. Watch Mark.
Who's
Watch me.
By the way, who's the producer doing national?
Adam Mendelson. Remember him and the Wing TV guy?
That's right.
They were in the afternoons going up against us, bad mouthing us all the time. We were like, who? What?
Never mentioned them.
No, we never
Those
mentioned
two, those two I wouldn't know. But the ones that were in this room now, because we've met them.
Well, you met him.
Yeah.
I never met either guy. There was a guy in Fargo who was a really big deal. He actually ended up doing national for like 7-8 years. And he wouldn't talk to anybody else. And I just walked right up to him and introduced myself and started talking to him. And he kind of gave me the brush off the first couple times I did it. And then after that, we drank together. He was fine. Everybody else in the market was like, why does he talk to you? I go, because I talked to him. And everybody watched him and nobody watched me. Whatever.
Salvador Sanchez got the title in the featherweight division today in 1980. God, he was a great fighter.
Did he beat Danny Little Red Lopez?
That's it. That's exactly right.
Who was a bleeder. I saw that fight. Wasn't he like shot and killed? Salvador Sanchez?
No, he died in a car crash.
Oh, okay. Because he died. He only died like a couple years later.
Yes. Yes.
There are some, who think he's the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. Tyson thought he was was giving his thoughts in a documentary recently about, fighters and what have you, and he thought Salvador Sanchez was the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. By the way, with the whole Germans bomb Pearl Harbor reference, how old is Animal House?
76, I think.
78.
78.
Looked it up. I went, I'll be damned. 45 plus years.
Trent, have you seen Animal House?
Nope.
So when we were saying the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor, did you have
No
any
clue.
idea of what we were speaking?
No.
No clue.
I mean, I know that's not correct, which is probably the
Right.
joke.
It's, Belushi's,
Okay.
was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no. And it ain't over now. And the one guy looks at the other, Germans? He said, forget it, he's rolling.
That's good. Yeah, David said that last week after the guy said rocket surgeon.
Right.
That was great.
So I read an article in The Athletic. I had to repay. They couldn't find my money. I had to resubscribe, so I got taken for $20. But did you happen to see the article about the draft for the All-Star game and they were all drunk? The NHL All-Star game was on TV. That they did the draft, and there was a room full of beer, and the players were all drinking. And Ovechkin was bombed. The three captains kept running back during commercial breaks and getting because you couldn't see their cups, and they were. Just drunk.
This is fantastic.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Pat Kirwan in a little more than an hour, live from Mobile and the Senior Bowl. They're saying that at least a quarter of the first round could be in Mobile, working out and practicing and playing in the Senior Bowl. That it's a really good crop of talent.
Really good crop of talent on the O-line this year, and most of them are in Mobile.
Yep. A couple of pass rushers also have stood out. So talk to Pat Kirwan in a little more than an hour about what he has witnessed and what he has heard in talking to folks. Plus, they interviewed a bunch of players. He also had the new Seahawks head coach on his show yesterday. So we'll talk to Pat about what he has gathered in the last 3 days in and around the NFL coming up. Speaking of the NFL, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
8 tracks working today, huh?
Yeah.
Trent, by the way, have you ever seen an 8-track machine?
Not in person.
Well, how would you see it?
Well, I know what it looks
on
like.
TV. Oh, okay.
But I've never seen one.
Gotcha. All right. So you've never actually put an 8-track in an 8-track deck.
Correct.
The 8-track was the shortest lived musical genre. We had albums. Albums have come back. 8 tracks were supposed to replace the album. The 8-track was quickly replaced with a cassette.
Yeah, I was going to say, did 8 tracks last like half a decade?
That sounds about right, if that.
The back end of the 70s, I thought, and I don't even know if 8 tracks like made it into the 80s as a popular, form of listening to music. I thought we went back. To me, Mark, 8 tracks were like New Coke. All right, that we had Coke. They threw New Coke out there. We didn't really like it. I thought we went back to albums. We pushed 8 tracks aside. We went back to vinyl, and then we just waited for CDs to come out. Cassettes.
You're right. But the 8-track was popular enough in automobiles. There was enough 8 tracks put in cars.
Yes.
That you then had the 8-track cassette adapter.
Right. Which, doubled as a vacuum. Okay, that you could then use. And all right. Dan Quinn, new head coach of the Washington Commanders. He's been the Cowboys defensive coordinator for the last 3 years. Before that, he did 5+ years in Atlanta as the head coach. First 3 years are pretty darn good. They went to the Super Bowl. You know how many times the Falcons have gone to the Super Bowl? Twice. Dan Quinn took them there. And yet apparently the guy can't coach. By the way, it's not his. I mean, is it his fault that they blew the 28-3 lead? Kyle Shanahan was calling the offensive plays. What's he doing throwing the ball when all they need to do was run out the clock? And Kyle Shanahan's a genius. Dan Quinn's an idiot. No terms. So we don't know if he got a 4-year, 5-year, 6-year deal or whatever. Reportedly, though, he's interested in hiring Chip Kelly as his offensive coordinator. All right, we'll see. Speaking of which, Cliff Kingsbury expected to be named the Raiders offensive coordinator. Remember yesterday the Dolphins were going to interview Chris Shula to be their defensive coordinator. Well, Chris Shula has been a defensive coach with the Rams for the last 7 years. The Rams said, yeah, we ain't letting that happen. So Chris Shula is now the Rams defensive coordinator.
Okay.
All right. By the way, don't you have to think if he does a decent job, good job, don't you have to think one day Chris Shula interviews to become head coach of the Dolphins?
You mean if they miss the playoffs next year?
I don't know about that quickly, but maybe the guy after the guy?
Okay.
Or if McDaniel puts it together and stretches this out, but by the end of the decade, they're ready to move on? Don't you think? Come on. Got to be on the short list, right?
Absolutely.
There are those that wondered in the last week or so when Tennessee hired Brian Callahan if his dad, Bill, would leave the Browns and go be his offensive line coach in Tennessee. And the answer is yes. And the Browns let Bill out of his contract. This is the first time, I believe, in the NFL. Monty left the NFL to go be on Lane's staff at Tennessee, the Volunteers, Tennessee. But, Mark, they believe this is the first time a father is going to be the assistant for the son in the NFL. There have been many sons who have been on dad's staff. I mean, we just saw it in New England with Belichick. Shanahan had Kyle on his staff. I mean, we've seen a bunch of that. But believe first time son hiring dad as an assistant. So offensive line coach in Tennessee, Bill Callahan. Alex Van Pelt, who's been the Browns offensive coordinator the last 4 years, although he didn't call plays, well, he's going to get to do that now in New England. He's Gerard Mayo's choice to be their offensive coordinator. Significant trade went down last night in Major League Baseball. Yeah, how about that? Baseball having an off season. Huh. Who knew? Corbin Burns, good pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers, won the Cy Young in 2021. 200 innings guy in a day and age in which they're talking about 160 innings being a workhorse. The Orioles gave up 2 prospects, one an outfielder, one a left-handed pitcher, and the 34th pick in the upcoming draft.
There you go.
Yeah, I know. Now we're getting
there. You go.
Program. Let's start trading these draft picks.
Now we're starting to act like a real sports league.
There we go. We're trading draft picks. There you go. Burns is a rental. He's a 1-year deal. He's a free agent after 2024, and he's 29 years of age. Now, remember, Orioles going to have new ownership, so maybe the Orioles can keep him. Could be a new day in Baltimore. Marlins outfielder Jazz Chisholm lost his arbitration case. Mark, they were arguing over $275,000. And we've always wondered, we asked David Sampson a couple of weeks ago. You asked him. You go, come on, when you're offering 2.6 and they're going 2.9, you guys really can't meet in the middle? And David, he's a hard line negotiator. And he's like, no, man, sometimes you just have to, even though he talked about going to arbitration with Cody Ross, in which they both, it was a game and they both knew it. And he said, we were passing notes to one another in the arbitration hearing like we were 7th graders in class. So anyway, Chisholm lost. He'll make $2.625 million this year instead of $2.9 million. Mark, I would always try to split the difference. I'd be like, come on, let's settle in the middle. Come on.
But according to Sampson, they don't.
No.
Ever.
No. NBA. So no LeBron and no AD. And yet the Lakers go into Boston and beat the team with the best record in the league. 114-105. Austin Reeves with 32.
Yeah, they hit 19 threes. They might not do that in their next 4 games.
Once again, though, no LeBron, no AD. They beat the best team in the league on their home court. Knicks have won 9 in a row. You know they're a half a game behind Milwaukee for the 2 seed? It's been a while since the Knicks have been that high up in the Eastern Conference standings. This is, rarefied air for the Knicks. Knicks fans are like, is this for real? Are we supposed to buy into this? This can't be for real, right? I mean, look at where we are in the standings. We're in the top part of the standings. I don't even look there anymore. 109-105 over Indiana. Cleveland beat Memphis, 108-101. No Embiid, no problem, because Tyrese Maxey said, give me the ball. And he scored 51. Sixers over the Jazz, 127-124. They named the All-Star reserves yesterday. And young Paolo Banchero gets his first All-Star bid from Orlando. Good job, Paolo. College hoops. Wisconsin up 16 at the half against Nebraska. What was it, like 28-8 to start the game? Something ridiculous. Yeah, Nebraska down 16 at the half, and yet Wisconsin had to hit a late bucket to force overtime, and in the OT, Nebraska won. 80-72, down goes the 6th-ranked Badgers. So Carolina, Tennessee, Wisconsin, 3 of the top 6 teams in the country have all lost this week. And we haven't even gotten to tomorrow, which is the best day of the college basketball regular season. I mean, before either the conference tournaments, if that's what does it for you, or March Madness, tomorrow's the best day of college basketball all year. In the regular season, anyway. 11th-ranked Arizona whooped up on Cal. They even covered 91-65. FIU lost at home to La Tech by 40. Mark this just in. When you're 7-15 and you're losing home games by 40, you ain't coming back. You're not going to be the coach next year.
No, especially when the team that has the A in the middle is nationally ranked, and you're the team with the I in the middle, and you
are
7-15.
Right. FGCU's won 2 in a row. They beat Central Arkansas by 23 on the road. And Stetson lost at North Alabama, 79-72. Women's hoops, South Carolina's 20-0. They beat Auburn by 22. Miami beat Wake by 18. Jacksonville and North Florida losers. FIU beat La Tech in women's hoops, 73-71. Another women's score. South Florida over Memphis, 69-46. Finally, golf. We said this a couple of weeks ago, and people got mad at us because they love Pebble Beach. It's pretty. But it's short. And if the wind doesn't blow, and we mean blow, they tear that course up. German Thomas Detry with a 9-under 63 with a one-shot lead over Patrick Cantlay at the Clam Bake, which is really not the Clam Bake. I give Jordan Spieth credit. He was asked, about the tournament this year with no amateurs on the weekends and, half the amateurs that are normally in it and half the field that's normally there. And he said, this ain't Bing Crosby's tournament. No, it's not. By the way, the LIV gets their season underway. John Rahm. Today in Mexico, I believe 1:15 shotgun start. Do you like the shotgun start, yay or nay?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea for TV. I really do. But obviously it limits the amount of people you can have on the golf course.
I do think they need to, for Sundays, they need to make sure that the leaders are all play, whoever's in the final 3, 4, whatever groups, they need to be the final 3, 4, whatever groups in reality, not just on the scoreboard. I don't think you can have the guy winning the tournament on the 4th hole because he teed off on 5, if you know what I mean.
No, I got you.
Because, the stands are set up at 18 and the cameras and all that. So,
right.
Anyway, 9 minutes before the hour, that was
the starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Pat Kirwan live from the Senior Bowl in a shade more than an hour.
We'll
Anything
get into
there interest you?
Did anything? Well, what you talked about upcoming interests me. And you know me, I'm always looking for the next thing, but I am fired up for tomorrow's college basketball slate. It is a really good day of college hoop. You start with the St. John's and Connecticut game. I think that's either a noon or a 2:00 tip.
I think it's a mighty nooner.
I think it's a nooner. And then the day just gets rolling. Duke and Carolina, Kentucky and Tennessee, Houston and Kansas. I mean, 3 great games, all highly ranked teams. It should be a terrific day of college basketball. And I watched that Wisconsin-Nebraska game last night, watching Nebraska's come back. I'm starting to get my college basketball juices going, David. So a little bit of college hoop on the brain.
I like it. Yeah, every day seemingly a big day in the Big 12 as well. There's matchups all over the place. UCF hosting Oklahoma. That's another nationally ranked team coming to Orlando tomorrow at 4:00. But yeah, Big Fox at noon, baby. UConn and St. John's, Hurley and Pitino. A lot of yelling at the refs. Not they actually don't curse very much, but a lot of yelling. Pitino says he doesn't yell at the refs. You should have saw the quotes from the officials when reporters went to the officials and said, Pitino says he doesn't yell at you guys. They're like, oh, I don't know who's been on the sidelines for the last 30 years then. So, Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for being with us on this Football Friday.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
David, I didn't want to interrupt you during the starting five, but I don't know if you saw it, but Mike Martin passed away last night.
Oh, I tried it. I shit. I wrote that down.
I didn't know if you wanted to do a little segment, a short segment on it, so that's why I didn't jump you at the end of the thing. And it is Groundhog's Day, which we failed to mention.
I totally ignore Groundhog Day. I think it's crap.
All right, hear me out.
Okay.
Just as a little, if we wanted to throw a little theme underneath for a texting standpoint, Twitch chat room.
Okay.
What's like in the movie Groundhog Day, where he relives Groundhog Day every day? What sports day would you want to relive over and over?
Oh,
like
my
for you, it would probably be the Rangers winning the Stanley Cup.
June 14th of 94.
So I just thought just a little free and easy, have a little fun. You can bash Groundhog's Day all you want. I can come back with that. It's crap.
Crap.
What's your answer to that? 84
He sees his shadow. He sees his shadow. 6 more weeks of winter every year.
Or Mark, would you pick the 97 Stanley Cup?
No, I'd pick the
84 Tigers.
84 Tigers. I don't remember like where I was for Stanley Cup wins. I know right where I was. I know who I was with. I was a sophomore in high school. That was...
You know, I would probably pick the Lions home playoff win. Seriously. I can't think of a time I was happier. Jeez.
Oh, another poll question could be going up. Do you think Groundhog's Day is BS? Pickle Slam 2s on Sunday at 8:30. McEnroe and Sharapova versus Agassi and Graf in pickleball. That's what we need on television. Wonder how many people watch that.
What time is that at?
8:30 Sunday night.
Jeez.
Thank you.
So Rory took an illegal drop yesterday. Got penalized 2 strokes after the fact.
How can you take an illegal drop with today's game?
I have never understood this. I do not know why there is not a rules official on every hole. I mean that. I don't get it.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is hour 2 of Miller and Moulton along the network on the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. I was remiss. I overlooked. I had it right here in the middle of the sheet, too, and I jumped over it. Mike Martin, the legendary Florida State basketball coach, passing away.
Baseball,
my bad, passing away yesterday. And there are a lot of folks who were not happy at him being forced out. Okay, and then never mind then his son getting forced out. But a legend in the Florida State Athletic Department. It got to Omaha many times. Unfortunately, they never got the final out of the College World Series. Our buddy Jeff Cameron telling a story yesterday in which, Mike Martin Sr. used to say, kind of the old Woody Hayes, argument. I wouldn't stop for gas in Michigan. Mike Martin saying, I wouldn't stop for gas in Gainesville. I don't want to contribute to the local economy in any way. I will say the Florida baseball team sent out a very classy on Twitter saying, hey, great man, legend, was an honor to compete against you. Showed a picture of him, at home plate exchanging lineup cards against the Gators. It was very nice. There's rivalries and then there's class, and the Gators, were really good yesterday in honoring Mike Martin, legendary Florida State baseball coach who passed away yesterday.
His record in 40 seasons.
Right.
2,029 wins. 736 losses.
It's 51 wins a year.
Right.
Right. Most teams that play in the regular season, by the way, you play around 54, 56 games in a college baseball regular season. Now, obviously, it shows he had many a deep playoff run to add on to it. But
17 College World Series appearances, but no titles ever.
That's who Dion played for. Think about that. Dion was playing for Mike Martin and Bobby Bowden at the same time.
Man. The other thing that you've been a little remiss on today, David.
What's that?
It's Groundhog's Day. You don't even mention a great national holiday.
It's crap.
It's
honestly.
Crap.
First off, how do we know that he sees the shadow? Do we interview him? Okay. Do we know?
Again. Do we interview him?
No, seriously.
Can't
It's
interview
like
a horse.
Secretariat.
Is this really an athlete?
Exactly. Okay. Secretariat, a greater athlete than Oscar Robertson. Really?
Did you see the Belmont? Did you see the Belmont?
Yeah, it's a horse. Okay. Is Mr. Ed an athlete? No. And he's
an actor.
And he could do the post-game interview. No. It's crap. We don't know whether or not he sees his shadow every damn time, and it's 6 more weeks of winter. Yeah, no kidding. It's February 2nd. Of course it's going to be 6 more weeks of winter. Look at the calendar. Give me a break. By the way, I thought the movie was
Did you have to cover this at some point for a station you work for? Were you actually Bill Murray being sent to Punxsutawney there?
I went to Punxsutawney, yeah, when I worked at in Scranton. Oh yeah, we made the trek. Punxsutawney. Yeah.
Is this why you hate Groundhog's Day?
No, at the time I was excited. Like, look at this young whippersnapper in the business. I'm here, the Punxsutawney Phil. This is cool. No, it's crap. It is. And you know what? The movie's overrated. Movie's okay.
Movie's a good movie.
It's okay. It's pretty good. The movie's pretty good. I'll give it a B-.
Oh, now we're going to give minuses. Now,
right.
All of a sudden,
yes,
the guy who has the most stringent grading laws in the history of mankind is throwing out minuses for movies.
Well, I did that for you because you're big into the pluses and minuses. But fine, if need be, I'll give it a C then.
It's not a C. It's not a C.
My grading system, it is, remember, 85 was a B. Groundhog Day, 84. Tough ass C. That's what it was. Tough. You got 4 multiple choice wrong out of 25. It's an 84. Suck it up and deal. Groundhog Day. What an overrated event. Hey, saw a shadow today. 6 more weeks. Really? Prove it. Prove it.
I think David did have to cover this at some point.
He did. Yeah, he did. And now apparently it was the worst moment in his life.
It wasn't. You got to get up early. Oh, man. Got to get there the day before. You got to get up at a ridiculous hour. But I was fired up. I'm like, oh, this is fun. Chalk this up on, the great career I'm going to have.
New poll question up. We already have one up on the damn Super Bowl that no one's going to care about.
No one's going to
Is Groundhog's Day overrated, yes or no?
Oh, my goodness. Can you put way overrated? Is that a category? Capital way? Jeez.
When I was in school, the teachers used to put the whole thing on the projector screen, so we would watch this every year.
Look at that.
So I'm fine with Groundhog's Day.
Well, yeah, because you got to blow off a half hour of class to watch a rodent crawl out of a hole and see its shadow.
And it was fun. I mean, some of the teachers got into it. But I think more people are going to be on David's side.
No, I don't. Oh, no. No, people find it cute. No. It's Groundhog's Day. Yeah, who whizzed in your Wheaties this morning, Moulton? Come on. How do we know? Yeah, honestly, prove it to me. Saw a shadow. Prove it. Prove it. Oh, I'll hang up and listen. Prove it.
Well, I was going to have a little fun with Groundhog's Day. Mr. Happy over there will probably slam this idea too, because in the movie Groundhog's Day, Bill Murray kept reliving the day that he hated so much over and over, that he and Dave Moulton hate so much over and over. I wanted to flip it. Maybe a little positivity in your life. Maybe make you a little happier.
So you're adding Andy McDowell to the equation, are you?
I am.
Okay.
I'm calm on you.
All right.
But it's
fine.
a sports com. If you could relive one sports day in your life over, what day would it be?
Oh, come on.
Because I don't want to hear the day I got married, the day my kids were born. I don't care.
Well, no. I mean, don't get me wrong. Those were solid B+ days. But, I mean, come on. I mean, you're talking about the A day.
Yes.
All right. I can't believe I'm going to say this. So, because I never talk about this. I hope my wife can't hear me. So, I'm married for the second time. And I married my college sweetheart. And we shouldn't have gotten married. Everybody, they were placing bets apparently when she was walking down the aisle as to how long it was going to last. We were the only two apparently who didn't know. And so we went to marriage counseling a couple years into the marriage. And I was still hopeful until about 12 minutes into the first session, in which I realized, oh, wow, this sucker's over. So the therapist asks me, looks right at me and says, when was the last time you were happy? And without hesitation, I said, when Matt Barr squeezed a 42-yard field goal inside the left upright to beat the Niners in the NFC Championship. And I turned around and looked at my then wife and I said, and I'm not kidding. Right. And it was at that moment that I realized, I think we've reached our end. Okay.
Whew. But is that the day that you
No. And that's a really good day. That's an A- day. But I swear, honestly, lightning bolt come down and take me out right now. I swear
Well, I would like to say don't ever change, but it's really obvious from that little commentary that you haven't.
No. I stayed true to myself. I did. So,
but what's the sports day you'd want to relive?
Okay. All right.
Do you have one?
Oh, sure. June 14th of 94, the Rangers won the cup. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that'd be it. Yep. No doubt about it. And don't get me wrong. All right. The Giants taking out the Patriots when they were unbeaten. I mean, that's number two. I mean, that was, my grandfather had passed away earlier that season. He's the reason I'm a Giants fan. Eli hits Plaxico. I mean, I'm getting choked up now. I had tears down my face when Plaxico caught that ball in the end zone. I mean, that That was unbelievable for me. But it's still second to June 14th of 94.
And there's a bunch for me but I think the Tigers winning the World Series in 84.
Okay.
I was 15.
Right.
I was with two buddies. I remember everything about that day, and so much to look forward to in life and all of those things. So I would go back to the 84 Tigers, although it would, there's actually a close second. There's a great day. If the outcome would have been different of the Michigan State Georgia Tech regional final game, because it's one of the greatest days I've ever had in my life with the people I was with. We were on spring break in Marco Island, and it was just one of those great days.
You mean when they didn't have replay and Kenny Anderson's shot was A, late, and B, his foot was on the line and it was a 2, not a 3?
Not that
Right.
that still haunts me. No.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Not that Michigan State should have won by 1 and Judd would have gone to the Final Four, right?
Right.
Yeah. Right. No big deal or anything. There's nothing riding on it. Right. Mm-hmm.
What about you, Trent?
There's a few that come to mind. One of them was a couple weeks ago. The Lions winning a home playoff game in Ford Field. That was such a big deal for a lot of people.
And for you, you're a diehard Lions fan, seeing something you'd never seen before.
I mean,
Season ticket holder.
5 years of season tickets, paying.
What honestly, I mean, you're 24 years of age, you're a Detroit sports fan.
Yeah.
What is as big as, what was it now? 19 days ago.
Yeah, nothing. No, exactly. That's why
Right.
I'm being serious. And then also, I mean, this is where Michigan State comes in and helps a little bit, because when Cassius Winston and Xavier Tillman beat Zion's Duke team in 2019, March 31st, it was my freshman year of college, and I just remember campus was a zoo.
That would be
night.
cool.
And professors were canceling class the next day because they knew no one was coming. It was amazing. That was another one that I probably want to relive.
There you go. Okay.
So what's your sports Groundhog Day? 21,000 is the text line.
And I'm proud of you that you're doing it in a positive way. Because let's face it, there's a lot of us fan bases that have days and outcomes of certain games that are haunting us forever.
Let's lift the spirits. It's a football Friday without a damn football game, David. We've got to do something. And apparently you hate Groundhog's Day.
David, it's a cute little groundhog.
It's crap, I tell you. And we have no proof that he sees his shadow. None whatsoever. We're making it up as we go along.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
David, you've never told that story before. That's one of the funniest things you've ever said.
God's honest. All right. And what would have made it funnier is that she asked my then wife the question first, and she goes and gives some long answer and what have you. And she turns and looks at me and goes, "And when's the last time you were truly happy?" And I said, "When Matt Barr squeezed the 42-yard field goal inside the left upright at Candlestick." Which was about a year and 8 months earlier. Yep.
Felipe hooked me up yesterday. I needed to get some headshots taken. He's got that nice camera. It's pretty funny because he's got the good camera. I'm going to do a little real estate advertising. And so I needed a new headshot. And he's like, do you have a lamp or anything? And I've got those lights from Kirwan. I come out of the garage with that huge thing. Holy.
Yeah, really.
See, lighting you need? I have lighting. No Gatorade?
No. There's only Monster Energy, and Lord knows I don't need that.
No.
Okay, here we go. Just in time.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Trent and the play of the day coming up in a handful of minutes. Pat Kirwan at the top of the hour, live from the Senior Bowl in Mobile. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. But we have trouble coming up with one poll question. How many did you fire off on the show today?
We had the one for like 3 days.
Oh, yeah, the one we kept forgetting.
Right.
This is why I think it's kind of, I almost feel like the poll question shouldn't get finalized until the first hour's over, because you got to set the tone for the show, and then we start getting to talking, you know? Then all of a sudden Groundhog's Day is now going to be something that's referenced for the rest of the show. So you might as well have a question related to it.
Well, the original poll question from Wednesday was, which do you think will happen first, a Super Bowl outside the U.S. or a pay-per-view Super Bowl? Voting in that is tight, 60-40 pay-per-view Super Bowl winning.
I voted pay-per-view.
I did as well. And
I
then, because
I
of
do think, by the way, sorry, I do think, Mark, like in our lifetime, do you think they'll play the Super Bowl? We're both in our 50s. Do you think we will witness a Super Bowl played outside the U.S.?
No.
I do.
What city?
Probably somewhere in Mexico.
That's what I think too. If anything, they'll keep it in North America because
of the time.
And I mean, I know it's a TV show. They don't really care about the fan experience, but I think they keep it in North America before they go over to London or something like that.
Yeah, I just think it's an American holiday, and I don't know if taking it out of, or a United States holiday, if taking it out of the country is something that the league would do. But because of David Moulton's rant and hatred of Groundhog's Day, is Groundhog's Day overrated?
Is it overrated? Okay, the question should be, how overrated is Groundhog's Day? Somewhat overrated, very overrated. Oh my goodness, it shouldn't even be a thing. Overrated.
%76% of you agree with David that it's overrated.
Wow. I thought it'd be exactly the other way around. I'm going to guess Groundhog's Day appeals to women.
Well, it was a rom-com after all.
Right. Because when you think, we need a subject for a rom-com, and somebody in the back of the room goes, how about the Groundhog's Day? Oh, wow, that's a winner. Somebody get me a script. So then Mark, tired of my negativity, tired of my snark, tired of my attitude, not willing to wait the hour that apparently we have to wait in order for the show to have a theme and what have you and get going. That's what Trent wants us to do. Mark said, well, the hell with this. I'm not going to put up with this the rest of the day. Okay, I'm going to turn his negativity into a positive. What Groundhog Sports Day would you want to relive over and over again?
Moulton on Miller Crime on a Friday morning.
I'm telling you.
7:24 a.m. That was the a-hole moment of the day right there.
I'm telling you right now.
That's unfair.
Like this guy says, watching the Red Sox break the curse with my dad.
Yeah, I think this is a great question. I don't know.
It is.
David just
it is actually.
Why would we want to live let's get to the most negative day you've ever had in your sports life. Why don't we just why don't we just pile on the misery? Why can't we just make the day worse for everybody? I mean, we're on in the morning. Why try to give anybody in a good mood when they go to work and have to deal with their a-hole boss for the rest of the day?
On a Friday.
I'm going to start drinking.
What was the worst moment of your life? Let us know. 21,000.
I love this. Sox fans have different, this guy watching the Sox break the curse. This one watching the Sox come back from 3 down to beat the Yankees. Just in Red Sox fan, which one's, bigger?
Right. The example that I gave, I actually treasure the Giants winning the NFC Championship game more than I do 7 days later than beating the Bills in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's like I would say the Lions beating the Rams to me was a bigger deal than beating the Bucs to go to the NFC Championship game because it was the first one and they were playing Stafford and it was the night game, all that stuff. And I was there. That helps.
By the way, Mark, you're right. I'm wrong. I'm out of line. Now, I don't deserve to be fired over it, but this is one of those times in which, find the middle ground. I deserve a suspension of some kind. I don't know if it's the rest of the show. I don't know if it's a couple of shows next week. I don't know if I just have to sit out a segment. I don't know. Do I get a 5-minute penalty?
So, actually, if we're going to punish you, I'll sit out the segment and let you do it.
You do the work. I'm going to go get breakfast. Trent's thirsty. I'm
Trent
hungry.
wants a Gatorade for crying out loud. I'm going to run to 7-Eleven.
Exactly. Mark's like, listen, you filled a Kirwan at the top of the hour. I'll be back with breakfast and drinks.
Might as well transition right to the play of the day. Brought to you by Molly Maid. Give your spouse the gift of the clean house. You could do that every day, not just Groundhog's Day, David.
Listen, if you're going to have a Groundhog Day moment as a married man, okay, jewelry, okay, or maid service, that's the stuff that you want to, you can keep going back to the well. All right, because if she looks at you funny, you get to go, oh, really? 6 more weeks of winter?
Help me help you.
What do you got for us today, Trent?
Let's go to the KSU Convocation Center in Kennesaw, Georgia. The Kennesaw State Owls are hosting the Bellarmine Knights. The game goes to overtime, and it looked like the 9-point favorite Owls were going to escape with a win. They went on a 9-0 run to take a 2-point lead with just 4 seconds to play. So the Knights went to the drawing board, and they drew this up on the inbounds play.
Long pass. Suter gives to Johnson for the win. Bellarmine with 0.7 to go. Johnson another 3. Gordon heaves. And Bellarmine in overtime. Ben Johnson's 3.
Big week for Ben Johnson. He knocks it down to give the Knights just their 6th win of the season. And, admittedly, that wasn't going to be my play of the day, so I don't have a ton of information on it. I pivoted last second because that was an electric call. But there's your play of the day by Molly Maid.
Bellarmine had lost 10 in a row. They beat Jacksonville on Saturday. That's 2 in a row for Bellarmine after losing 10 in a row.
Don't look now.
They're on a roll. Are the Knights from Bellarmine? Look at you going A-Sun basketball for our play of the day. He really is a basketball goober, Mark.
That was a little bit of me. I saw the play, and I'm like, this is a great play. If the call's anywhere close to how good the play is, you might want to throw it in there. It was a.
So was it like the Ole Miss Valpo play?
Similar.
Where they throw it to the
Similar.
guy, he catches it, and then he hands it off, and the shooter makes the three?
Correct. And he literally caught the pass in the air, threw the pass while still in the air, and the guy nails the three. It was a spectacular play.
That's the Bryce Drew Valpo play to beat Ole Miss in the tournament.
That's our Molly Maid play of the day. 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839. Call Molly Maid. Get your appointment. Get your house clean. Make your wife the happiest wife to be with a clean house that she doesn't have to clean, or in my case, I don't have to clean.
Man, I have to admit, I would have lost money on that. I figured Trent was going to Lincoln, Nebraska.
That was the plan.
For the Huskers coming from 16 down at the half to beat Wisconsin in overtime.
You know what irritates me about this, just real quick here, because when I look for the play of the day, I look for the call on X, okay? And what these teams have started to do is they post like 5-second clips. They don't give you like a nice 20-second chunk of the call and the build-up and the crowd reaction. They don't give you anything. So it's hard to find some things sometimes. But I wanted to go to Nebraska. But Kennesaw State will do.
But we go to Bellarmine instead with the big 3 to win it.
To knock down the defending A-Sun champion Owls. Look at you.
That's more A-Sun talk that will happen on any radio station in the country today.
And that includes in Louisville, the home of Bellarmine. They're like, what the hell is this show talking about?
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk to one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
We're going to have some fun next week. previewing the Super Bowl, all the prop bets that you guys are going to love so much. The coin toss, the color of the Gatorade.
I got a buddy that throws a nickel on the coin toss every year. His wife has no idea. No idea he gambles, and he puts 500 on the coin toss every year.
It's so funny.
Hey, one of the big bets of the week. And we'll have Lee's daughter give us her prediction on the Anthem over-under.
Oh, yeah.
She's
She's
hit,
nailed
what, 8,
like
9 in a row?
8 or 9 in a row. Lee Sterling's daughter.
Wow.
She studies it.
She's a performer. Right. So she's in New York City now doing some off-Broadway stuff and waiting tables, trying to make it. And so she last year is waiting on a guy, and at the end he leaves the tip, and then he slips her $100, and she goes, "What's this for?" And he goes, "Way to hit the anthem."
Wow.
Christy Brinkley, 70?
Is it 69 or 70?
54.
Yeah, so okay. She came out the other day when she was 69, because I saw the headline, Christy Brinkley, 69, okay, looking for love but can't find it. She said basically the talent pool is not very good at her age. You know, would she take a younger man? That's what I think some of us wondered.
And Shakira's birthday today. Look at that.
Ambient, by the way, you listed two. Okay, once again, you got to pick one.
It's got to be that Super Bowl, right?
I would think it's the Broncos over the Nuggets, but
gosh, you got to think back to the context of that. Because I remember, were the Panthers favored in that Super Bowl?
Oh,
against
yeah.
the Broncos?
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
Cam was MVP and Josh Norman
they were
had that
17.
one hot year.
They only had one loss till the Super Bowl.
Right. But Denver was the much better defense. So I didn't know what. 5.5 point favorites. Okay. So that had to be awesome. Because then for the Nuggets, not taking anything away from them, of course, but you were kind of, once they made it to the finals, they were heavy favorites to win. You know, I will say, as just a sports fan, 2016 LeBron's chase down block was amazing. I'm a huge LeBron guy, so I was in Times Square on a mission trip in New York with my youth group.
All right, Mark, what's the
Can't hear you. Don't know what.
What's the sandwich place in Pittsburgh? Pamanti's?
Permane Brothers.
Yeah, I was at a Permane.
There we go. Whoa. Headsets crashed on me for half a second there.
I was at a Permane Brothers in Pittsburgh.
For the block?
Yeah, and we had just done the final round of the U.S. Open in Oakmont. I raced out of there. I got to Permane Brothers at halftime.
We were at a church service, and our youth director let us leave in New York City, and we left, and we went to an Applebee's in Times Square.
To watch what?
The second half of the Cavs 3-1 comeback. The chase down, the shot, the stop.
Listen, I just want to say this, and I mean this with as much affection as I can muster. All right, I've known you a short time. I'm pretty fond of you. You're in New York City, and you went to an Applebee's. Okay? I honestly think we should just line you and whoever was leading the youth group and just shoot you.
We had to find the nearest TV. That's all it was. We weren't of age. We couldn't go to a bar. It was, where are we going?
Okay, you weren't of age. Okay, all right.
Church youth group.
Okay, I'll hold off on the execution.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the top of the hour, Pat Kirwan joins us live from the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. At that time, we have breaking news, Mark. breaking news on the show. It's a big story. This just in from Adam Schefter. Punxsutawney Phil did not see his shadow. I repeat, from Adam Schefter. Hope Mike Florio's okay with this report. Punxsutawney Phil did not see his shadow. So the groundhog is predicting an early spring. Of course, do we have proof of this? No. He denied all post-shadow interviews, and we just have to take his word on it. Of course, he didn't have any words because he's a groundhog. But leads to one of our poll questions. Is Groundhog's Day overrated?
82% of you currently saying that it is.
Yes. All right. Finally on the right side of something. Man. I love the fact Adam Schefter is reporting that. I'm sure others did as well, but, well, we got it from Schefter. So there. Don't know who's going to be the offensive coordinator of the Commanders, but damn it, Phil didn't see his shadow. And so Mark, Mr. Positivity, he wants to hear from you. What's your favorite Groundhog's Day in sports? The one day that if you had to live over and over again, you'd be like, oh, well, it would be this one. For me, it'd be the day the Rangers won the Cup. Just coming up on 30 years. Holy blank. Oh, man. I'll tell you what, between the Rangers and the Mets, it's been so long. If they ever win another one, it might top the first.
It's possible.
Man. So
it's
for
possible.
Mark,
mine's 84, watching the Tigers win the World Series.
Where were you, 15?
15 years old, sophomore in high school.
Boy, can I ask a question? Can you come up with a scenario that you think would equal it, never mind surpass it, now that you're in your early 50s?
No, I can't.
So listen, Michigan State is the height of your sports fandom. So would it be another title for Izzo? How about this? The football team wins a Big Ten championship.
Yeah, and David, that would do it. But I cannot picture in the current state of affairs,
right,
that program ever getting to those heights again. I really cannot.
But if by chance one of those two things happened.
Put it this way, if they got to a Big Ten title game, I'd be in Indy. I'd go.
Well, I hope it happens next year then, because, we're doing the game. So, I'd get you a hotel room and, I'd come through for you.
I like the way this is shaping up.
I was going to say, I
get new coach, and they're going to probably win 4 games next year, but
I understand. Right. But I'm just, this whole positivity thing that you're on here, I'm just trying to get, I'll get you pregame passes on the field and everything. Oh, you'll be hammered too. You will have tailgated. It'll be embarrassing. I'll have to hold on to your arm, okay, while we're down on the field about an hour before kickoff. But that's all right. I'd make it happen for you.
Gary, the Spurs are in the title game.
Oh, I'd have to do it for Trent too, though. He's an alum also.
Exactly.
Oh, my goodness.
I'd ride the coattails. If you guys were actually doing this, I would.
Oh, no, we'd be doing it. Hell, so I'd be the one without a room. You two would have the room. Hell, I don't know where I'd be sleeping.
Just need a small space on the floor.
I wouldn't sleep.
Well, Danielson usually gets a suite, so I'd probably sleep on the couch in his suite. That's what I'd do.
It's good to see that they give him a suite.
Well, I mean, should.
Exactly.
Yeah, him and Brad and Jenny. I mean,
Craig. The whole in-end suites. It's nice to see that somebody gets a suite.
Well, exactly. I mean, rumor has it, okay, at the, in suites that there's 3 or 4 suites. So, Gary and Brad and Jenny get them. All right, good. So, hey, the NCAA has been in the news lately a lot. People, according to them, screwing up, committing violations, and they're coming after people. Well, Iowa's concerned. They screwed up recently, and they're self-reporting, a violation. They claim it's a level 3 violation, but the NCAA ultimately gets to decide. Level 3, the smallest of violations. Level 1, the most serious. Mark, this is a true story. Iowa self-reporting a violation, impermissible contact with Caden Proctor. Apparently, last year when Proctor was at Alabama, he had a tough game. And someone on the Iowa staff sent him a text that said, "Hang in there, buddy." So it's a self-reported violation. Sent a text, to a kid they had recruited who's from the state and what have you.
Right.
Obviously chose to go elsewhere. And, he had a rough game. And so, a guy sent him a text that said, "Hang in there, buddy." That's it. This is a self-reported NCAA violation. Is this like with the bagel? What was the school with the bagel in which you could put peanut butter on it, but not sour cream or
not
something?
cream cheese, right? It was peanut butter was okay, but cream cheese was an impermissible benefit. Yes.
Right. That was a level 3 violation. The cream cheese on the bagel was the violation. Right. So anyway, I love the fact that they self-reported it.
I think that's spectacular.
Yep.
I mean, this is like when Tiger had to pay back the $12.48 because Arnold Palmer bought him lunch.
Jay Billis told a story recently in which he was asked, why'd you choose Duke? What was it about, he was a California kid. And he said, I just put it this way. I was being heavily recruited and people came out and they knew what my favorite restaurant was. And there were like 8 coaches who took me to that restaurant. There was only one coach that made me pay for lunch. Okay. That was Mike Krzyzewski. All the others picked up my tab. And we all knew that they weren't allowed to pick up my tab. Coach K looked right at me and said, "Listen, I can't pay for your lunch." Okay. It's an NCAA rule. All right. So you got to pay for lunch.
So Mike wasn't cheating back then?
Not then. Well, he hadn't gotten anybody yet.
Okay.
No, he didn't have the Nike bag money then.
Didn't have a bag man at that point.
Oh, that was 40 years ago. Right. Right. No.
The program the right way.
Well, they all start doing it the right way. And then eventually you realize, well, I mean, if you're going to help, okay.
Help.
Yeah.
I need one of these, I need one of those, and I need one of them.
Yeah, I'd like to, get into the Final Four is nice. I'd really like to cut down the nets. You want to help? That'd be great. So, anyway, so 21,000 is the text line. What's the if you could, your Groundhog Day for sports, the day you'd want to live over and over again? You're Bill Murray in the movie, only, the equivalent of Andy McDowell is this moment in sports. And for me, it'd be June 14th of 94 when the Rangers won the Stanley Cup. So what is it for you?
This texter says, my Colts beating my dad's Bears in the Super Bowl. Wow.
Ooh. Well, and that was the only one Peyton won in Indy.
And this person basically is giving me their positive one. That they have developed their own snark here, David.
Okay.
For Miller, it's the 84 Super Bowl. For Moulton, it's the GD Tuck Rule game.
So he wants to relive 38-9 over Theismann and the Redskins at the Big Sombrero. He'll relive that one over and over again.
Right. But if it was your day, if it was your attitude with the show today in their most negative sports moment, he actually gave both.
I like that, by the way. That's our early nomination for Texture of the Day. Giving a Miller answer and a Moulton answer. That's outstanding. I resemble that remark. I do. I deserve that. I got pretty negative, pretty snarky. Oh, Groundhog's Day. What a joke. What a crock. Honestly, sees the shadow. Oh, today you didn't see a shadow. Really? What's the difference? Honestly, I want you to roll the tape from last year and roll the tape from this year. You tell me. I want Aikman. I want the analyst. I want circles on the screen. I want you to show me the difference. See, this is the moment where he followed the pulling guard and he saw his shadow. Okay, now if you see this year, a year later, you see what happened. Okay, the elements, they blew up the blocking scheme, and Phil was like, what's going on here? And he didn't see anything, and so we have an early spring. No, seriously, I get out the telestrator. Show me the difference. They pick this fat thing up out of the ground. They hold it up in the air. They put it down. It does whatever it does. They pick it up. They show it again. Some guy all dressed up to the nines. I mean, what is he, in front of the, Buckingham Palace and the castle, for goodness sakes? It's a groundhog. You can take the gloves off. Certainly the hat. What do we need the hat for? And tails?
I like the top hat.
Of course you do. You want to, you're
love the pomp and circumstance.
Mark likes fun.
I do. I enjoy fun. It's the best thing to have.
Mark likes fun and chaos. Those are the two things Mark likes.
No, he's also into, not for him, but for everybody else. He wants everyone else dressed up. Not him, though.
Oh, that's not true. I would have been fine back in the day when everybody was wearing a sport jacket and tie to the game.
Oh, so you would have been fine in the 19 teens and the 20s?
Oh, yeah.
The baseball crowd, everybody basically. Doesn't it look like everybody went to church and went to the ballpark? I mean, that's all the crowds that you see in the black and white era. It's like, wow, they go to the game before church or after?
I liked when I got on flights in the 70s and everybody was dressed up, David. I did. Now everybody looks, you got people's feet on planes.
Yeah, I know.
I'm dealing with toes.
I'd rather deal with the groundhog, by the way, than people who don't take their shoes off on a plane. I got to be honest. I get pretty snarky. If you're in my row and you don't have socks on your feet and you take your shoes off, it becomes a very uncomfortable experience for all three of us.
And I'm a flip-flop guy, not on a plane. You wear shoes. You cover your feet. That's all I've got. 21,000 is the text line. What's your sports Groundhog Day? What's the day you'd want to live over and over? This person says the Pats comeback, 28-3 over Atlanta. Another one says Dale winning Daytona. Look at that.
98. There you go.
This one says January 97, NCAA football, the old ball coach. Go Gators.
Oh, yeah. 52-20. Sure.
Someone just texted wide right a while ago.
Okay, now once again, we have to find out, are you a Giants fan or are you a Canes fan?
Exactly.
We have to ask. So, let's be positive, all right? I was out of line. I deserve it, all right? Even Trent came off the top rope and, gave clothesline me, and then I deserve it. All right. I just got a little too negative about Punxsutawney Phil. Took it out on everyone and everything else.
I will say, based on the vote, you really didn't, because better than 4 or 5 of you agree with David that Groundhog's Day is overrated. That maybe your original question of how overrated is Groundhog's Day would have been a better question.
We got to get Pat's answer to this, right?
Oh, he doesn't care.
During the break.
It's overrated to Pat. Guaranteed. Pat, you know what Pat cares about? If
Senior Bowl.
If Punxsutawney Phil was a D3 lineman at the Senior Bowl,
right,
Pat would be all in. He'd interview him, and he'd tell you whether or not he could play on Sunday.
Right.
Outside of that, Pat doesn't care.
Yeah, the only value Punxsutawney Phil would have to Pat is if he was a long snapper.
Or if he could get pressure on third down.
Or if he played for a minor league hockey team in Southwest Florida. That's it.
Right. Now, if he played in the ECHL, Pat would love him. You have to admit, Punxsutawney Phil does sound like he could be a fourth line grinder. Okay. Oh, they're bringing out the Punxsutawney Phil line. All right. The coach really trying to change, what's going on here.
You know what he is? He's a momentum changer, David.
Exactly. Down 3-1, late second. They send out Punxsutawney Phil and the boys. Going to want to get the puck in deep and start the cycle going. Look at Phil doing that work in the corner. Great on faceoffs.
Boy, I've already got in my head. I got Punxsutawney taking the draw.
I know, and then I have him going to the front of the net.
Looking for a deflection.
Goaltenders having trouble seeing around Punxsutawney. Pat Kirwan next.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
If you're in love and thinking about a diamond, you'll want to hear from my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When purchasing a diamond, you deserve a relaxed, stress-free, and educational experience. You want to have a good time and feel comfortable. You want selection, quality, and value.
At the Diamond District, you'll get it all. With our team of non-commissioned diamond advisors, no one's in a rush. We care only about you and making sure your needs and wishes are fulfilled.
You'll be wowed by our selection of GIA certified diamonds, stunning diamond bracelets, earrings, pre-owned Rolex watches, exotic ruby, sapphire, emerald, and tanzanite jewelry. There's something for everyone at the Diamond District, and all at the lowest prices anywhere.
Jason and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day. We look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Good morning.
Good morning, Pat.
Good morning.
You guys. For people that don't like Groundhog Day, you spend an awful lot of time on it.
There's no football games to talk about, Pat.
Yeah, I don't know.
And by the way, in reference to the things that this freaking groundhog can do, you missed the point. He's a goalie. Just dig in. Stay in front. He can't run and skate. He's a goalie. Pretty clear to me. And by the way, I wish there was a team in Pennsylvania that were the Groundhogs.
That's a good call. That's a good minor league team name for a.
That's not bad.
Can you see the mascot? He'd have to be down on all fours, running around the stands.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah.
Minor league baseball or something.
Why not a groundhog? Down in Western Pennsylvania, they could relate to that.
Yeah, I think it's Southwest.
Well, so the weather is going to maybe be bad here for the game. So, of course, at 5 a.m, I have the Weather Channel on. What's the Weather Channel doing? Covering Groundhog Day with 3 people out in the in the audience. And that crazy guy, Jim, who always stands right in the middle of a hurricane.
Cantori.
Cantori.
Yeah. He's rambling on. And I couldn't believe he was taking Groundhog Day serious, but he was. Ground, the Senior Bowl's good. We've had perfect weather now. I don't think it's going to hold up for the game, but it was awesome all week. Which, when you come here 35 straight years, you're used to bad weather.
So apparently the footballs were an issue.
In what sense? I didn't hear any of that.
Supposedly, I read where Tuesdays and Wednesdays, some quarterbacks and receivers were having trouble holding on to the football, and that Bo Nix went out and got used footballs and brought them.
You got to scrub them down, and there's a little wire brush thing, and apparently they don't have one. And get this, the same thing happened on our set on Sunday. Phil was supposed to do a throwing thing, and the balls were so slick. They were brand new. And of course, they had the labels for the two teams on it. I had a kid rubbing the balls on a rug in the green room, trying to get them where you could throw. Eventually, we just went over and took a ball from the Chiefs, from the Duke. He couldn't throw those balls either.
Huh.
Yeah. I haven't thought about pro football since the end of that game. I've been just consumed with this stuff.
Hey, Pat, do you go on site for the draft?
He does the draft for NFL Radio.
Every pick.
Every pick.
Straight years.
So you'll be in Detroit.
Yes, I'll be in that Magic City. Yeah.
Love
every
it.
pick.
How many drafts in a row have you done, Pat?
I did 21 of them in a row with Gil Brandt. God rest his soul. I did a few before that for CNNSI, and I had to go to Atlanta and do them in the studios there.
The good old Omni Center.
Yeah, Coca-Cola. That's what there's a Coca-Cola label on everything in that building.
Damn right.
Well, I know.
I worked in the Omni for a while. I had lunch in the Omni Center every day, Pat.
Oh God, everyone who works in Atlanta seems to be there at lunchtime.
Yep.
It's packed. Yeah, so if you look straight up along the walls, the glass walls, that's where the studios were. Probably about 24 grand.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And joined on this Groundhog's Day by Pat Kirwan. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show. CBS, of course, with the Super Bowl a week from Sunday. Pat will be in Vegas, but first, he had to put in a week in Mobile, Alabama, site of the Senior Bowl. It's where Pat joins us now, courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Top of the morning to you, Pat. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Good morning, guys. And trying to get my arms around 130 players and figure out who can play. So it's been fun. Perfect weather all week. 3 practices in pads and running around, actually doing a lot of football things. So got a pretty good view of them today. We got a significant amount of interviews. We're over in the convention center. There's a walkthrough, and then we'll get a lot more. We've already had like 30 interviews. So I'd like to get to at least 50 before we get out of here. It's been productive, to say the least.
Has the practice changed? I mean, you've been doing the Senior Bowl for a long time. How much better has this become from a standpoint of how organized it is and how you're able to watch practice and basically get a read on these guys? Or has it been pretty much the same for 20 years?
No, it's changed. Jim Nagy, who's running it, and I was good friends and still good friends with Phil Savage. He made progress from the groups before him, but Jim's taken it to a different place. And so you get a lot more interest from players and clubs, because I think the most important reason is the interview process. They have developed a very, how would I say this? It's well designed. The clubs know they're going to get the players for a much more significant amount of time than they get at the combine. And they can talk about practice. They can talk about football things. They can watch a little tape with them from practice. So I know the clubs like the interview process here. The players and the agents feel it's get it out of the way. Get your height, weight, all the measurement junk out of the way. Get your interviews out of the way. So there's a lot of reason they do it. And unfortunately, there are some players who had a great week that are not going to play in the game. That happens every year. But Jim anticipated that, and he brought in an extra 10 players in hopes of, covering up those spots where we're going to have some deficiency. Because, as example, the Guyton kid from Oklahoma, the left tackle, he was phenomenal all week, and he looks the part, and he acted the part, and he will not play in the game, to my knowledge. So, but that's okay. The club saw what they wanted to see, and someone else will get a chance to play a lot more, which will give that guy a chance to at least maybe go from a 7th-round pick to a 5th-round pick. That's what they're here for, to go up in the draft 1 round.
There were a couple of things that took place in the last few days in the league, and we may get to it, but we'll do it next segment. Let's just stay with position groups. If you want to highlight an individual player, fine, but I don't even know how much fans have started to zero in on the draft yet. So let's go position groups. We'll go with the headliner first. The Penix and Nix headlined the quarterbacks. How did the quarterbacks look?
Penix looked terrific. First thing he did was measure in his hand was 10 3/4. So when you're in the business that I'm in, a big hand is important with these quarterbacks, especially if you're going to be outside, cold weather, especially if you want to pump fake the ball, all the things that Roethlisberger was able to do. And he threw the ball very well. So the question with him is really, is he going to get to the bottom of the 1st round? Is he as good as any of the 3 above him? Who's sitting in the, let's call it the 11 to 15 spot, who thinks we'll take him? So
he's the
done
Vikings.
I asked the head coach. He said, I'm having fun out here, but I already missed coaching. I said, Penix said he'd meet you after dark if you want to have a second. And he goes, he would? You know how I am. So he took the bait on that. The second best quarterback here, and I put the word potential on it, because we know he hasn't played well at times. It's not Bo Nix. Bo's had a hard week. And he measured at 6'1", not 6'3", which is what he was labeled. But he just had an average week. He has good plays and then bad plays. Hits the ground, the ball with into the ground, all that stuff. But it's Joe Milton. Joe Milton has got a lot of business. Oh, yeah. Joe Milton has come here and he's helped himself. Now, I did not say 1st round. I don't even know if it's 2nd round. But Joe Milton, there's a lot of guys that are coaching quarterbacks that would love to get their hands on Joe Milton and put him behind an older veteran. So we had a little contest just because I was with, Jimmy Miller and a couple of guys. And we said, where's the right fit for him? And we talked about a couple of places. And I kind of thought, interestingly enough, in my mind, that I'd love to see him in Jacksonville, not to replace Trevor Lawrence. But Trevor's a 6'5" guy that can run and will run. And this guy has run skills and really has arm talent. But you got a ways to go. You don't want to put him on the field for 2 years. But if you ask me who made more waves after Penix, it's Joe Milton by far.
Just curious how Spencer Rattler looked. He was a guy towards the end of the season, was making eyeballs on some draft boards. And again, not 1st-round type guy, but just curious what your thoughts are on him.
Yeah, I think the game is going to help him. He kind of blended into the woodwork, if you will, and people were watching Joe. They're in the same group. People couldn't take their eyes off Joe and the athleticism. Oh, and interestingly enough, the personality. He was killing it in the interviews. So Spencer was kind of in the background of that, but I think that's the kind of guy who's going to play very well in the game. A bit tenacious. I think he's going to be able to go out there. It's easy to read. It's cover 3, cover 2. He's going to have an easy time with that stuff. I think the guy did not embarrass himself. He did not go backwards.
Let's talk wide receivers. It seems as if nowadays, you could get one early in the 1st round, mid in the 1st round, but also you could find a Puka, day 2, day 3. It seems as if they're all out there, Pat. How's the wide receiving core look?
That's exactly what you just said. And we had that discussion yesterday. I always have the same routine on how I evaluate. I start with offensive line, then D-line, linebackers, etc. And late yesterday, I get into the receivers more than just the obvious of seeing them do things. I think there is a sentiment here that you don't have to take a receiver. They kept talking about Rashee Rice, the scouts, that he came here, kind of blended into the group. No one thought he did much but play okay. Then he goes off to Kansas City and becomes, a top receiver for them. So they are looking at this group different. Like, who can I get in the second round? Who can I get in the third round that can come in and play? So I don't have, and I'll give you an example because I had this conversation with a GM. I said, look, why would you take a receiver early in this draft when a guy like the big nose tackle from Texas, Sweat, is sitting there? There's just not enough big people on the planet. And he agreed with me because you're right. You got to take the pass rush. You got to take the big tackle. That kid Sweat's going to be really something, Devondre Sweat. And he's 360 pounds, 6'4", former basketball player. They ran a double team on him 8 times a day for 3 days. He split them, knocked them backwards. So why can you take a receiver? Back to your receivers. Xavier Levitt had a good week, the South Carolina kid. I'll tell you who else. Now, this is second, third round conversation. McConkey. He looked like if Bill Belichick was still coaching, he'd be a draft pick of the Patriots. He's the next slot receiver, but he's tall and he can do a lot of things. So he's got himself going pretty good with those guys. I'm just looking at my notes. Oh, Luke McCaffrey. There's another guy. And he definitely can play out at Z. And he's very polished. He's bigger than his brother. He's in phenomenal shape, and he's very explosive. And I have to tell you, Roman Wilson was the best receiver here. And I don't know if he's going to play in the game. And I spent time with Jerry Rice yesterday. His son, Brandon, the USC kid, I can see why people are intrigued by him. He's very physical. He's going to get called for pushing off, but he has all the little subtle tricks that Jerry's taught him. Jerry was here with a camera filming practice so he could have a session with his son before he goes out for the game. So think about that. Your dad's Jerry Rice and you're getting coach and he's filming it. So God only knows. But those are the kind of guys I think you can get second, third, and fourth round that you not only expect to make the team, but you think they're going to play. So take the big guys when you can. Come back and get the receivers. There is some depth.
And then obviously the offensive line, Pat, has been talked about as this being a great group in Mobile. What have you seen so far there?
Yeah, I agree. It's always good. As I said, the Guyton kid was the best tackle here. He's a left tackle, legit left tackle. Probably worked himself into the first round. Jordan Morgan, the kid from I think it's Arizona, or maybe, Arizona. I thought it was Auburn. Those guys with an A on a helmet. Jordan Morgan is a massive player. He's huge. And they've got him at left tackle. To me, he's a right tackle. He's a big power player. Nobody could bull rush him. I mean, the first day in pads, they were all trying to bull rush these guys, and he just locked them down. He didn't move at all. And I had a team yesterday that I like a lot. I think David likes him even more than me. They think he's a big-time power guard. Kind of tall for that job. We've had a couple like him, but like him a lot. Those two guys jumped out off the page to me. I'm just looking at my note page. The rest of them, the Limmer, this kid, the center from Arkansas, he can handle it. He can play in this league. He can play early. And my favorite player I saved for last, UConn. Go look at Christian Haynes. This guy, and I had a club tell me he's the best guard. If you're a zone running team, he's the best guard in the draft. Not at the Senior Bowl, in the draft.
I read an account, and granted, everybody's opinion is their own, that the two Michigan offensive linemen struggled, though, Keegan and Henderson.
That's true. They look very average. If they didn't have a Michigan helmet on, you would have said, I'm not even going to grade the guy. But that team, the more I look at the players that are here from Michigan, what they were was a great team. And they kept all those, nobody left in the portal.
Right.
Everybody stayed. They had a lot of older players. And they were a good football team. But when you put them in here with kids like a UConn kid, shines as bright as could be, and the Michigan kids did not.
Very interesting. Defensive linemen, I heard there's some good edge rushers. We got about a minute or so.
The kid from UCLA, but I'll talk about him right now. Latu, slippery pass rusher, very physical. Has every move. I thought he ran a spin move, and as he was getting trapped in a spin move, he did an arm over and beat the guy. You don't see kids that have double moves that understand it. He, to me, was the guy. But here's his problem. He had neck surgery 3 years ago. University of Washington had him, told him his football career was over. So he left. He went to UCLA, had 26 sacks in 2 years. He was the best pass rusher here.
He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio, moving the chain, CBS Sports, the NFL Today Show. And Pat is joining us today from Mobile, Alabama, host of the Senior Bowl, as we talk and start getting you ready for the NFL Draft. We'll turn towards some league matters with Pat next, right here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
If you're in love and thinking about a diamond, you'll want to hear from my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When purchasing a diamond, you deserve a relaxed, stress-free, and educational experience. You want to have a good time and feel comfortable. You want selection, quality, and value.
At the Diamond District, you'll get it all. With our team of non-commissioned diamond advisors, no one's in a rush. We care only about you and making sure your needs and wishes are fulfilled.
You'll be wowed by our selection of GIA certified diamonds, stunning diamond bracelets, earrings, pre-owned Rolex watches, exotic ruby, sapphire, emerald, and tanzanite jewelry. There's something for everyone at the Diamond District, and all at the lowest prices anywhere.
Jason and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day. We look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, Pat, I know what I'll be doing on draft day. I'll be muting my TV and listening to you.
Well, thank you.
Sync it up.
Depends if the Miller and Moulton draft show comes back for at least Thursday. Oh, no. We've done, David and I usually, last year's the first year we didn't do one.
Really?
We do a Twitch-only draft show.
Love it.
Let's go to Detroit.
That ain't happening.
I'll get us out there.
Well, we'll tip into the budget and we'll get back to you.
We can only send one half of one of us.
Right.
But as I learned from Mark, wear shoes on the plane, for God's sake.
Oh.
I always enjoyed when you guys were on site at the Super Bowl.
So did we.
Doing it. Yeah.
Tell you what, these West Coast Super Bowls, I know Vegas is the exception because it's Vegas, but it's difficult. You're in the Eastern time zone, even the Central time zone. You do a morning show. It's tough to justify the effort and the expense.
No, you can't do it. You really can't.
Your slot's different. To all the Super Bowls you saw us at, we were in the afternoon.
I know. And plus, to go to the California ones basically costs twice as much money.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's brutal. And I not that they care, but that's what it's going to be. The budget for that stuff, even for us, they get nervous about it.
Now, I'll say this, if we're still doing this 3 years from now, we'll probably be at a different level, and that'll be ABC Super Bowl. So, I will probably, call in every marker and, this way, but, we'll stay for, we'll get it free. I'll get the hotel rooms taken care of,
Yeah.
We'll probably have the miles to take care of the flights. can get credentials. The problem will be it's in Los Angeles. I mean, it'll still be a hell week. Taping so much stuff, having to edit. I mean, it's not going to be fun, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know. I see how many people I have around me that do all the stuff that I don't have to do.
But Mark also made a good point. Mark said, listen, if I'm doing this again, I'm staying for the game.
I've never seen a Super Bowl live. I wouldn't mind.
I usually get my hands on face value tickets if you ever want to do it. Which, did you see what the secondary market is already? It's 11,000 in the top row. Come on. I wouldn't do that with a gun on my head. Shoot me.
Doesn't help that it's a smaller stadium too. There's like 6,000 less seats at that one than like your average NFL stadium.
Yeah. It's I've been to a lot of them, and I'm not bragging. I'm glad if I never go to another one. And I'm not even looking forward to being at there this Sunday, to tell you the truth.
If CBS didn't have the game, in theory, you could leave after your Saturday radio show?
Oh, no. In theory, let me tell you in practical sense. I get off the air in Vegas at 4:00.
Right.
I'm on the 5:50. When I get off the set from this game, I think we're going to be done at 7:00 Vegas time. I'm on the 11:30 flight to Fort Myers. No. Like the people at CBS, don't you want to stay over? We're going to have a reception. No.
And meanwhile, you say, how can I say this gently? I've been with you guys all year.
Yeah.
I don't need, I love Cower. I love Boomer. I love Phil. I don't need.
If I was going back to New York, let me tell you, Cower has his private jet, and if I was going back to New York, I'd be hopping on that and going home. I just want to go to Florida, where my wife's sitting for 3 weeks waiting for me to come home. Yeah, Bill will race right to the airport. He's got some friend of his that always lends his plane to Bill. So
those are good friends to have,
Well,
they are.
But those things, I will say, those things, a lot of them do that. Those rich people share them because they got to use them.
Yeah. I need to find you guys one.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour, remaining moments with Pat Kirwan. He's in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl. He's taken in 3 full days of practices and interviews. Pat, let's talk about some of the league issues in the last handful of days. The last 2 head coaches hired. You spoke with the new Seahawks head coach, Mike McDonald, yesterday. Your impressions?
Well, I got a chance to meet him right before the game, the Kansas City-Baltimore game. He came over to the set, and he was very excited to meet Bill Cowher, and he made a very favorable impression on Bill and me. Really, really smart. And I don't know what grades mean, but he was a 4.0 student. He got A in everything he ever did at Georgia. So very, very bright, very energetic. And so for me, because my relationship with Pete, I was looking at a guy who's going to replace Pete, and I was very pleased to see his energy level. Not that he's out there to replicate Pete Carroll, but you got a football team that likes that. And I think this young guy is going to do a really good job. He's got a lot of work to do, but you look at like the 2 linebackers in Seattle are going to be free. I would think that he's going to keep Bobby and go get Patrick Queen, who was with him just now, who's 150 tackle guy. So I think he's got a chance to fill in some blanks. I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback, but I think it's the right choice for them. I'll leave it at that.
When you talk to these guys, what are you searching for when they're trying to hire their staff? Because obviously it's one thing to be a leader, but it's another to assemble a staff, and that's the biggest part for these young coaches, isn't it?
was the first, and I know David listened to the interview, it was the very first thing I asked him. And it's really, you don't go to the interviews. He had 2 of them, of course. So you don't go to the interviews without your potential staff, because you're going to get asked that in the interview. And so he's got people that want to work with him. There are some guys that he could potentially keep from that staff if he falls short. Let's say he's got 3 guys for his O-line job and he loses all 3 because everyone else is hustling for the same guys. Then I think he could keep the line coach there for a year, because most of those guys are under contract. So he's got some fallback position if he needs to. But I think this kid is, I think a lot of coaches look at him and go, I want to work with that guy. Think of some of the guys that have got jobs and some of the places they're going. I don't want to insult anybody by some of the teams that are looking for position coaches. I think he's going to do a good job of recruiting what he needs. I think he's already got a handful of them already covered.
For what it's worth, the Jaguars losing their passing game coordinator this morning, Nick Holes, and he's going in the division to Tennessee to be the offensive coordinator with the Titans and their new head coach, Brian Callahan. So Callahan getting his dad, Bill, to be offensive line coach, and now in the division, plucking one of Doug Peterson's lieutenants, if you will, to be his offensive coordinator. You know Dan Quinn well. He ends up being the fallback guy in Washington. Your thoughts on Quinn and the Commanders?
I'm happy for Dan. I don't think the last game when the defense played so poorly was going to be what his resume was all about. I love coaches on a rebound. Anytime you can get a guy that was a head coach, he learned an awful lot. I've talked to Dan many times about what he learned and what he wouldn't do again that he did in Atlanta. And I've seen a lot of progress, and even in his schemes on football, but I also see how he handles himself. So I think they're going to get a guy that's ready to go in there. It's a rough job, and the GM that they hired looks to me like there's some symmetry with them. And I can say this, I said it on the air. The young GM does not have to worry about Dan. Dan is a total guy of integrity. He's never going to backstab him. He's never going to badmouth him. He's going to build a relationship. So that guy has a chance to have a partnership with Dan, because that's how Dan will operate in this thing.
But, you know, we were talking about this earlier, Pat. To me, with Dan, isn't it all about who he hires as his OC right now?
Yeah, and I don't know. I talked to him yesterday. I didn't ask him that question, nor would I reveal the answer if I had it, because he probably doesn't have it locked down yet. But Dan recognizes exactly what he needs to do. Remember, he had Kyle Shanahan in Atlanta. He knows the value of getting a guy that can run the offense. Not that he will ever turn his back on the offense, because I think he now realizes I got to be hands-on with everything and make sure I'm on top of it and make sure they run the ball at the end of a Super Bowl, David.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Up 28-12 with under 10 minutes to go. Yeah, how about running the ball a little bit instead of throwing it? By the way, Chip Kelly mentioned as a possible OC for Dan. Cliff Kingsbury is reportedly going to be Pierce's OC with the Raiders. You know, these are interesting hires. You talk about the value of an NFL head coach at his second opportunity. Well, these are guys who have been either coordinators or head coaches in the league before, who may come back to call plays, albeit a few years later.
Well, we all see the migration. I'm sure you guys are talking about it, the migration away from college football. We saw Boston College. We've seen a bunch of them, Michigan, and there's more. And there's guys will take a position coaching job or a coordinator's job in the NFL just to get away from NIL and portal. And they've had enough of that. And they're frustrated by it. So you can go and get a top college coach right now and offer him a coordinator's job, and he's going to walk away from his college job and take the pro job. It was crazy how that gone, but the burnout rate of trying to build a football team, and then the story on Nick was the day after the game, and I'm sure David's covered this. The day after the game, 8 players at Alabama were in his office waiting for him to say, "We need more money or we're going to leave." And then Nick left before they did.
Well, that's the word on the street that Nick, because of Nick and him saying, "Listen, we'll get you drafted. Nobody places more guys in the league than us. Nobody understands the league better than I do. All right, you want to play here. Supposedly, there was a Nick Saban discount, if you know what I mean, that the minute he left, the Alabama players looked at the new regime coming in and said, yeah, there's no discount anymore.
Well, they left before Nick. They were in his office saying, we can leave. We're in the portal. We can make more money than you're giving. And either you give us more money or we're going. And that's what I know who the guy who told me was very close to it and said, he's had enough. He warned all of us when the portal started and NIL started that this was going to happen. And there's no regulating it. And all these guys that come on, we're going to have to regulate. You can't regulate it. There's no union on the other side. You can act like a collective bargaining agreement with high school kids. They're not unionized. So I think he looked at it. I think our friend up at Boston College said, there's schools if Alabama's losing guys, what do you think the rest of them are doing? So what's going to happen? The big city schools with Fortune 500 companies that have the money are going to buy football teams. And I think Nick, who works really hard at it and has a reputation, his reputation and his credentials were going up in smoke. And he just said, I've had enough. And a lot of guys are either going to retire or go to pro football.
Mark, reportedly Ohio State this transfer portal season has spent $5 million.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're spending it on the high school kids. They're spending it on the portal kids, and they're going to have a really good roster because of it. And that's what it's going to take.
And the signing days are going to start to marry up to this stuff. And so we'll see how many do you save?
He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio, moving the chains 3 to 7 weekdays. He'll be in Vegas next week. Don't know if we'll be able to talk to him that early hour and all. CBS has the Super Bowl. A few people are interested in that. Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers. From Tampa to Key West, all points in between Pinchers because you can't fake fresh. Listen, enjoy the rest of your time in Mobile. Safe travels, buddy. And we'll try to catch up at some point next week.
Yep, hope to. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
Bye-bye, guys.
It is amazing. If they're here, if they're talking about the Saturday coaches at the Senior Bowl, what that means for the college game. It is wild times, to say the least. Thanks for listening, Miller and Moulton.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So you guys do a draft Twitch stream?
Yes.
That sounds awesome.
And we drink.
That sounds electric.
Especially me. David has a couple of beers. I get crunk.
Is that posted anywhere? Is it on your YouTube?
It would be on the Twitch page somewhere.
That is awesome. That's a great idea, whoever came up with that. I got a ton of great feedback on the Knuckles interview yesterday.
Oh, good. I'm curious, who do you get feedback from?
My friends and family who listen. But
now, I'm going to ask a serious question because we're about to enter into new territory here.
Okay.
Do they genuinely like the show for the show, or do they like the show because you're part of it?
I mean, it's probably inevitably a bit of both, but they like the show. I mean, like I've got relatives who watch every single day.
Well, because, that's as we add more affiliates here, one of the things that, Miller and Moulton are curious about is that, we get it. The 239 likes us. Charlotte County likes us. We get that.
Yeah.
No, we don't know how well we're going to play elsewhere.
Right.
I think you guys play because you're.
Well, it's interesting because the East Coast of Florida and the West Coast of Florida are different.
Right.
The West Coast of Florida is into hockey. The East Coast is not. Huntsville will be interesting. We start doing a hockey segment. What are they going to think in Huntsville, Alabama?
Well, believe it or not, the UAH, remember, the hockey program.
I know.
Right.
No, you guys do a really good job of the mixed bag of topics. That's why I think this is so fun, because you get to do. It's not just like when I was in Nashville, it was all Predators and SEC. That's all they talk
right.
about.
No, it's David and I've said that a lot. It's a one nice thing about being down here. You need to do a national show.
Yeah, and obviously there's the Florida
angle.
That's the main point of it. But half the show or more is national stuff.
Right. We're never going to out Tampa.
Right. We have to thread that needle where we're never going to out local, and we have to be better than national. We have to, a station has to think I'm better off carrying Miller and Moulton than I am the ESPN national show or the Fox national show. And that's a tough needle to thread.
Yeah, no, I've got people, friends and family who listen, who text me during the show about things that you guys say or whatever, and
it's not about us making fun of you.
No,
no, seriously. I mean, no. I mean, because that means they're enjoying the show.
Yeah.
By the way, Mark, I think the Jacksonville TV station is making the announcement next week.
Oh, nice.
So I think we're going to have a few weeks to finalize everything, but based on a couple of tweets I read last night, I think the announcement's going to be made Monday.
Yeah, Arch, I think it wasn't the same pick over. I wanted the corner. There was a cornerback in a route picked. It was pick 21, and I kept saying, "Are they going to pick the cornerback for about the next 5 picks?"
Well,
we have to do this. We're doing this.
Trent, when Mark switches from beer to the brown stuff, it's a turn out the lights, the party's over. Oh, yeah. It happens very quickly.
And I literally, the Monday after the Super Bowl, will start prepping for the draft.
All right, we're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. We just got done talking to Pat Kirwan. We kind of went through some of the players and position groups at the Senior Bowl. We also talked about Dan Quinn, Mike McDonald getting hired, and also just will there be now an influx of college guys leaving Saturdays to go be position coaches or coordinators on Sundays because they don't want any more of the transfer portal and NIL. How about that, Mark? They'd rather embrace NFL free agency, in which 1/3 of every roster is on a 1-year contract minimum, than they would the college transfer portal. Damn. One of those guys making the move, by the way, is apparently the new offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Liam Cohen, Coen. He's gone back and forth between Saturdays and Sundays for a few years now. He was with the Rams and Sean McVay when they first went to the Super Bowl and for a couple years afterwards. He was actually quarterback coach when he and McVay were kind of like, I don't know about this golf guy. All right. But then he goes to Kentucky for a year. It doesn't work. He goes back to the Rams for a year as offensive coordinator. He leaves the Rams. He goes back to Kentucky as offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Now he's leaving Kentucky for Tampa Bay. What's important to note there, Mark, and Trent watched it last night. You and I didn't. This whole pro skills, because it's not the Pro Bowl anymore. It's not a game.
It's the skills competition.
Right.
They played dodgeball, for crying out loud.
Right. And apparently they had the quarterback accuracy thing, throwing at moving targets. I guess Baker won it. I guess. And he joked in the post-game interview that, the last pass I threw got intercepted in Detroit. I mean, that's how much he prepped for the competition. But he did say, when asked seriously, Canales left. What are your thoughts? And he goes, well, it depends on who they hire as offensive coordinator.
Right. It was just going to get you beat me to it, David. That was, Baker's spoke at length. He was praising of Canales getting the job and thought he deserved the job. But they said that they engaged Tampa with some contract talks, and Canales left, and his agent has not since engaged the Bucs. They want to see who the OC is going to be.
Remember, Baker Mayfield starts the 2022 season. Well, the spring and summer, he was with Cleveland, gets traded to Carolina, gets cut by Carolina, ends up where? With the Rams. Plays the final 5 games of the 2022 season with the Rams. Who's he working with? Sean McVay and his offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen. So you would think this is a real quick verdict from Baker Mayfield. I'm guessing Cohen got the job because Baker approves of him.
100%. If you're Tampa right now, can you really afford to lose Baker Mayfield?
No, you got Kyle Trask and nothing else. And you don't want to be spending your first round pick. And by the way, you're in the 20s. So you'd have to, it'd be a mess at this point to replace Baker. Yeah. It'd set you back. And Tampa's clearly not interested in going back. So Liam Cohen, Coen, pretty sure that's how you pronounce his last name. All right, could be Cohen, but he's the new offensive coordinator apparently with the Bucs. And he had Baker Mayfield for a handful of games with the Rams at the end of the 2022 season. He's done the Rams-Kentucky shuttle for like the last 6 years. So there you go. But another guy leaving Saturdays for Sunday. Now, I'm guessing this is a raise. I mean, you go from offense coordinator at Kentucky to offense coordinator with the Bucs. This is a raise. But for what it's worth, that's apparently the move.
And hopefully that's the right move for Baker Mayfield and company as Tampa tries to reset
now with the coaching, a lot of coaching vacancies in Tampa. Obviously, Bowles is staying, but they lost not just their coordinator, but they lost an O-line coach. They lost
special teams coach.
Right.
Right. Yep. Oh yeah. No, he's got like a third of his room he's got to fill here. No doubt. So yeah, there you have it. Little news during the show today.
Couple of poll questions today to update you on.
Okay.
The first one was our football question. What do you think will happen first? A Super Bowl outside of the U.S. or a pay-per-view Super Bowl? Right now, pay-per-view getting 3/4 of the vote.
Ooh, it was much closer earlier. So, okay.
But, David, 83% of our audience thinks Groundhog Day is overrated.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. My faith in humanity has been restored.
Got this text. Had a coworker take a vacation to go see Phil. Thought she was nuts. Yeah, I do too. And I have no problem with Groundhog's Day. I think it's rated appropriately. It has its day.
It just is what it is.
Right.
Some people talk about it. It's on the news. It's one day a week or a year. Thank God it's not one day a week. But
Punxsutawney, by the way, is, if you look at Pennsylvania, draw a line through the center of the state and then go about 3/4 of the way to the left. And that's where Punxsutawney is. So, you split the state in half, and then you got the western half of the state, split that in half, in the center of it, that's where Punxsutawney is. It's a little further north than I remembered. I thought when we traveled, we went a little further south. But it's pretty much, Mark, split the difference between like State College and Pittsburgh. Split the drive. There you go, Punxsutawney. It's a little further north, but you get the idea.
Okay. Good to know. In case I ever want to make a trip to Punxsutawney.
Well, we were talking about where it is, and I went the 1 year early in my career and covered the damn thing. Oh yeah, team coverage of Punxsutawney Phil. I'm like, I'm a sports guy, right?
David, do you know what year this was? Because I have all the results in front of me right now.
It was late 80s. Let's say it was with YOU. We had the only SAT truck in town. We were showing it off. That's why we went. I'm going to say it was February 87.
87 was a long winter. But if you're off by a year, 86 and 88 were both early spring.
Was not 86. I hadn't been hired yet. And 88, I didn't work there. I had already been fired. So, no, it had to be February 87.
You got a long winter in February of 87.
Yeah, no kidding. Really? Shocker in Pennsylvania, 6 more weeks of winter in early February. Really? Apparently, you didn't see a shadow today. Once again, I'm disputing the election results. Really? How do we know? I want a recount. I do.
And I don't care one way or another. All I want to hear from you is what would be your sports Groundhog Day. If you could live one day over and over again in your sports lifetime, what would it be? Like this gentleman says, the 76 Reds beat them Yankees.
Wow, that's interesting. It wasn't the one before, the Classic World Series against the Red Sox. Huh. The second one meant more. Interesting. Because, the Reds they had lost the 70 World Series, the 72 World Series. The Mets, who won 82, 83 games, took them out in the LCS in 73. I mean, the Reds couldn't win the big one. In 75, they get over the hump against the Sox. Down 3-0 in 7th inning of Game 7 and come back and win the game in the series. It's amazing to me. The 76 one meant more to them.
So that's what we're asking. Have a little fun day. Trying to bring some positivity to the show.
Right.
After David completely took down Punxsutawney Phil and everything having to do with Groundhog's Day. Just trying to lift your spirits up, making you think of that great, glorious day in your sports fandom.
And now I'm, catching heat on Twix because, people think then I'm dogging Bill Murray. Love Bill Murray. By the way, don't think it's his best movie. Don't think it's a top 5 movie, by the way, for Bill Murray. I really don't. Okay. Bill Murray's been in some incredible movies. Bill Murray's had some amazing performances. Okay. I thought I don't want to say Bill, I thought Bill mailed it in Groundhog's Day, but I just thought it was a run-of-the-mill Bill Murray performance, to be honest with you.
And a run-of-the-mill Bill Murray performance is a B movie. That's where I dispute your initial, that's the only thing, because you're right.
I don't think it's a top 5 Bill Murray movie. I don't think it's close.
That says more about Bill Murray than it does about Groundhog.
Yeah,
Thank
I know.
you.
He's had
Yeah.
an amazing career. An accomplished actor. By the way, it sounds like, are they done with the Ray Romanos and Bill Murrays of the world at Pebble Beach? I mean, because Mark, you've talked about it for years. The players hate the clam bake. It's 6-hour rounds. They hate it. The weather's terrible in early February. It's often windy and cold. Okay, this isn't playing a U.S. Open there in June. All right, it's oftentimes lousy. 6-hour rounds, all the amateurs they got to deal with, and Bill Murray and Ray Romano yucking it up on the course. We love it. There's a lot of tour pros that are standing there going, do I really have to stand behind this crap again? And they don't have that this year. There's no actors. All the comedians and the actors are not the amateurs. There's some athletes and big money business guys and friends of friends. Those are the amateurs. And they're wondering if basically Bill Murray's been in his last clam bake.
Probably. Now, I'll be curious. You know what? Probably not, because it won't be an elevated event every year.
Right.
Once it goes back to being a non-elevated event, you're going to have the 156 amateurs with the players. So probably not, David.
All right.
And wait till you see the field when it's not an elevated event.
Woo! How many of these top 50 guys do you think will be in this event next year when it's not elevated? Over, under 5.5?
Under. Under. And we're not joking. Spieth talked about it.
Yeah.
He said he played a 3.5-hour 9 one time. Took him 3.5 hours to play 9 holes.
And midway through the round,
wondered if that was just when he played with Patrick Cantlay.
Hello. And that's when he shoots 8 under 64 and is one off the lead, and he still takes that long. Imagine when he's scuffling to a 73. All right. Mark's, by the way, day is, do you remember the exact date in 84 that the Tigers won the World Series?
I don't. The Game 6, I remember being in my living room with Greg Armstrong and Terry Carpenter.
And you went to Game 3.
Correct.
Right? Which was the first Tigers home World Series game in 16 years. Boy, that place must have been just a zoo.
My dad did the wave, something I never thought I would see.
I would have loved to see Fred doing the wave.
Right.
That'd be awesome.
Hot dog in one hand, beer in the other, doing the wave at Tiger Stadium.
And then for me, it's June 14th of 94. The Rangers winning the Cup. And for Trent, it's 19 days ago.
And then the sad part is that his negative day would just be a couple of days ago.
Right. 5 days ago.
You've lived both of them, the highs and the lows, in a matter of a 2-week period.
I have. And you know what? If the Lions had gotten beat 45-21 by the Niners, it wouldn't be the worst day.
No.
It would be one of the Michigan State, maybe the 09 getting crushed by UNC or something like that. But the Tigers and
but you were tasting it. You were.
I was,
and everybody was. Man. And I said Game 6, Game 5. My bad.
So what's the Groundhog Day that you could relive? You would love to relive over and over. I had a buddy of mine who's a big Washington, Baltimore area sports fan, and for him, it was June. I think it's 8th, maybe it's 9th. Of 6 years ago when the Caps won the Cup. And he said, yeah, that's mine. And he said, beats the Ravens. I will say with the Orioles, you got to go. It's 40 years since the Orioles won the World Series. Some of these droughts are remarkable. Hell, if the Niners win, it's been 29 years since the Niners have won a Super Bowl. We don't think of them that way.
No, we do not. That's a championship organization.
Yeah, they've been good a lot of the time. Yeah. Like 20 of those 29 years, they've been good. how many NFC champions? I mean, Harbaugh went to 3. Obviously Shanahan's now gone to what, 4 out of 5? I mean, they've been in 7 or 8 NFC title games since they last won a Super Bowl.
Proving the point. It's not easy to win that final game, and very few teams do it. And that's why some people aren't even responding, because their teams never won one in their lifetime. Along the network, have a great weekend. The Diamond District bonus hour is next. Mark, why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best. And the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd, with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few jewelry stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Absolutely, Sheikh Zula. It just cut my hair. I don't need conversation. I don't need to know who you are. I wish you well, but I don't need to know who you are. I hope you have a good day. Have a good weekend.
I'm the exact opposite.
We're shocked by that.
I gotta know what where you're from, who you root for. Like yesterday, I got my hair cut, and the woman who cut it, she was wearing an Apple Watch with a Philadelphia Eagles band. So naturally, we talked about the Eagles for 20 minutes.
There you go. Pretty funny, David. So I play golf on Wednesdays. There's one guy that runs the game. So he has to put in all the tee. He has to put everybody for the tee sheet. There's a little bit of work that goes into it. It's kind of a pain in the ass. Good guy. Like him a lot. But I played really well Wednesday. And miraculously, I'm on his team. Always seems to work out that way. When you're hot, if I play bad with them, there's no way I'm playing with them the next week. But I laughed because Wednesday's the varsity and the junior varsity. We split up the two groups, and I'm in the junior varsity. So we play the white tees. It's white tee Wednesday. And I played good Wednesday. Shot a little 77. That's really good for me. With 2 doubles, by the way.
It's been a while since you broke 80, hasn't it? Been?
Has.
Oh, that's awesome. With 2 doubles.
41-36. Sonny, that's great.
So the story I told earlier in the show about the marriage counseling, my buddy who his number one sports moment's the Caps winning the Cup, by the way, which was June 7th, apparently, of 2018. He says, take your marriage counseling session, make it a movie scene. Kevin James playing you. Call Hollywood now.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't believe any of them. His kid's still playing at USC, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Where's he going to go? I mean, he told Wade. Where?
Philly is the rumor. Let's go link up with Embiid. I think that would be awesome. I would love to see that, actually. But I don't believe it either for what it's worth. I'm just saying that's what.
Who are they going to give up?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. They'd have to give up Maxey, and they won't do that.
Well, no, and they shouldn't.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying that's what people think.
That would be awesome, by the way. I mean, you got to admit.
What, LeBron to the Sixers?
Just him getting traded would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be
you know, we do a sports talk show.
Yeah, for our sake, I hope it happens.
Oh, it'd be next
the Wednesday
week.
after the Super Bowl. Yeah.
No, I hope it happens early next week. It's not like we're going to have guests for the Super Bowl. It's in Vegas.
Here are the
morning show.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the Diamond District bonus hour. Todd and Jason, have you ever met them? This weekend, next week, following weekend, might not be a bad time. We're just saying they sell diamonds. And in 12 days, it's Valentine's Day. Groundhog's Day, way overrated. Oh, my goodness. Ignore it. Valentine's Day, do not ignore it.
I was given permission last night to ignore it. Wow. That's how much I won Christmas. Just for the record, by going to see Jason and Todd at the Diamond District, said on this show that I won Christmas.
Right. And
Last
I
night
thought she won Christmas.
She did.
Right.
We were all winners, David.
Okay. So what you're saying is the Diamond District is a win-win.
Correct. Looked at me last night as we were watching Wisconsin and Nebraska.
Very romantic, the two of you.
Well, thank God it wasn't football.
She looked into my eyes and said, honey, I want nothing for Valentine's Day. And I'm not joking. Nothing. No flowers. She said, you want to get me a card? Fine. You did good enough with Christmas. We don't need to spend any money on Valentine's Day.
And you looked right at her and said, I have never loved you more.
Now back to the game.
Now back to the game already in progress. Hell of a run by Nebraska here, huh, honey? Think they're going to pull it off?
They'll storm the court if they win.
Sure will.
And that was a deserving court storming last night.
Yes, absolutely. I'm with Matt Painter, by the way. We got to keep the court storming. Okay, this is college. It's not pro. There are differences, but we just got to make sure that the players and coaches, that they're safe. That's all. That's all. Storm the court, not the opposing team. Storm the court. Meet in the middle. Jump up and down. You know, slap the backs of your team that won, not the opposing team. That's all. That's all. We got about 20 people we got to protect. That's all. We can do it. We don't need to stop handshake lines. We don't need to stop court stormings. Okay? Just, we know what to do. Let's do it.
I loved the Northwestern coach after losing to Purdue as the handshake line's going on, and he is just berating the officials.
Right.
Because the free throw disparity was grotesque.
You mean 46-8 he had a problem with?
And he's going nuts. Finishes, get the players pull him up, finally get him pulled away. And he goes over, shakes the coach's hands, dabs a couple of players, and goes off,
right,
while having the crowd go nuts. It was spectacular.
Exactly. Slaps the shoulder Zach Edey and is like, "You're a hell of a player, man. Congratulations." And then walks off the court and eggs on the crowd who's booing him.
So a buddy of mine's nephew plays for Northwestern, and he's a big guy, Nicholson, something like that.
Yep.
And he's 6'10", 6'11". I think he's 6'11". And I happened to text my buddy, and I'm like, "Your nephew looks like a dwarf."
Next to Edey.
Yeah. Edey is man, that guy's big.
I rode in an elevator with him one time. He had to duck. Inside the elevator. Had to duck. Not to get in. Inside of it.
Will not play in the NBA. Unbelievably slow. I honestly don't think, and I know, that who was the kid from UCF, the Taco Fall, was it?
Yep.
And he was 7'6" or whatever it was, and I know Manute Bol, I know, Mark, there's literally no one he can guard, and they don't allow you to just hang out in front of the rim like they do in college. I don't think he gets drafted, and he's going to win back-to-back National Players of the Year. Do you know who's the last player to win consecutive National Player of the Year awards in men's college basketball? I think it's Walton. I mean, this is a short list he's going to be on. I don't think he's drafted.
Someone will draft him in the second round.
Whew.
No guaranteed money in the second round.
It's really interesting, though, because remember Luka Garza a couple years ago was fantastic, and even he had a little bit of the speed and the post moves and stuff to deal in the NBA, and he still went late second, was National Player of the Year, I believe. So it's kind of weird. Mark, I'm with you. Someone should take a flyer on him in the second, but I don't think anyone will because of the status quo.
Wanted to get to this text. We've had people texting today about their good Groundhog Day sports moments, but we did get this as we were talking about Baker Mayfield, and I wanted to get to it and have both of us answer, but especially you, David. The Kyle Trask people are coming in. I don't get it. Why does everyone look down on Trask? Never been given a chance. Had a stellar college career. Can't understand being second fiddle to Brady and Baker because of their resume, but were they really elite for that team? Both were flawed, one with declining skills due to age, and the other never consistent. Give Trask an opportunity.
Okay. Listen, he was given an opportunity this training camp, and he was clearly beaten out.
He's not good enough. It's really simple.
Listen, if I'm Trask, by the way, I'm leaving. I mean, I think he's got one more year left on his rookie contract. I want out of Tampa. I mean, I'll feel the same way if I'm Kyle Trask as the texter. Obviously they're not going to give me an opportunity here. I got to get out of here. Kind of like Mason Rudolph. I mean, if you're Mason Rudolph and the Pittsburgh's already talking about bringing in a veteran quarterback to compete with Pickett, and you're like, well, what about me? I'm a veteran quarterback. I just won 3 games in a row to get us in the playoffs. You're not even considering me. I mean, if I'm Mason Rudolph, I got to get out. Even if I'm sitting on the bench somewhere else. I got to sit somewhere else. Clearly, they ain't going to give me a chance here. And if I'm Kyle Trask, I'm feeling the same way. Fairly or not, I think he's under contract for one more year.
And Rudolph's a free agent.
Believe so. Listen, if you're a team out there that needs a backup quarterback, you wouldn't call Mason Rudolph?
I would.
He just won 3 games.
Right.
Get you in the playoffs.
All we're asking a quarterback to do is go 2-2 for the 4 games that he plays. If your backup can go 2-2, you have a hell of a backup.
I mean, he's one pass he wants back in the playoff game against Buffalo. Interception in the end zone. Otherwise, he played okay. Really? No, I'm fine. Like, reportedly, because they hired Arthur Smith to be their offense coordinator, that Arthur Smith's going to advocate to bring in Tannehill, who Arthur Smith was the offense coordinator of when Tannehill took over for Mariota. They went to the AFC title game, and kind of rehabilitated Tannehill, played his best football with Arthur Smith. Of course, he handed the ball off to Derrick Henry 30 times a game, but
they got a couple running backs you can do that in Pittsburgh with too. Not Derrick Henry, but
right. Split them up and go. And so, but if you're Mason Rudolph, you're like, well, hell, if you're bringing in Tannehill, I'm out of here. Just like when you brought in Trubisky. How'd that work out, by the way?
And I get the point of bringing in Tannehill, whether it's to compete or just play behind Pickett, because it's someone that can help teach him the offense that he's going to have to learn.
Yeah. And obviously they think Arthur Smith goes, yeah, Tannehill's even at 35 or 6 is better than Mason Rudolph. Huh. If you're Mason Rudolph, you're like, really? But, I mean, listen, there's no one who covers the Bucs who's been advocating for Kyle Trask to be the quarterback. Kyle Trask had 3 days in training camp last year. 3 days. And it's not exaggeration. I'm not being a jerk. He had 3 days. He had a Monday, a Tuesday, and a Wednesday in which they were splitting reps. And guys, for the first time, were going, Trask looks every bit as good as Baker. And in fact, Baker's thrown a couple picks and Trask has been mistake-free the last couple days. And then by Thursday, that talk was done.
So there's your Kyle Trask answer. I did want to get to that. We appreciate all the text, and there's been a lot of them that have been fun today about the Groundhog's Day, but that was someone who had a serious question, and I wanted to get it out there. So, at least serious to him.
Yeah. No, Gator fan, I get it. I mean, hell, Kyle Trask could be the answer to a trivia question for a while. Who's the last Florida quarterback to beat Georgia? I mean, unfortunately, it looks like for a little while. I hope for Gator fans, it ends quickly. I hope it's this 5-star recruit you brought in.
It better be.
Yeah, I was going to say, because if he can't get Georgia at least once during his Florida career, oh boy. Very quick sidebar. All of you who want to get rid of Billy Napier, this 5-star quarterback loves Napier. Came to Florida because of Napier. Just be careful.
And it's helping recruit others.
Be careful. I mean, this day and age, college football, guys get up and leave on a whim. Never mind if the coach that recruited them that they really like gets fired. I'm just saying, be careful. Better cement that relationship somehow, some way that involves someone other than Billy Napier if you're planning on moving on here in 10, 11 months. That's all I'm saying.
And think about it. I mean, you're not going to. The kid that went to Alabama early enrolled, Nick retired. He left in an hour and a half.
Right.
And not even an hour and a half. He left in a minute and a half. I mean, he heard the news and couldn't get in the portal fast enough.
Well, remember, they pay more money elsewhere. There was a Saban discount. A discount walked out the door. Well, what am I doing shopping here? So much for those signs when I'm driving by. It says 20% off. You can tear them down.
Yeah, he'll have some work to do there. I mean, obviously you can't maintain that, but just to try to
keep your job in 3 years.
Hey, speaking of jobs, when we come back, I'm going to throw a question at the two of you. I'll answer it as well, but I'm going to throw a question at the two of you because we're done filling vacancies in the NFL.
Yes.
And so I got a question that involves that, and I'm going to give you a little perspective from just a year ago to go with the question. Just saying, you might find it interesting.
Look at that. Not is it just the Diamond District bonus hour. Moulton throwing heavyweight teases at the Diamond District bonus hour. That's what we do. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening. A question when we come back.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best, and the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few jewelry stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail
Mark
East.
Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured. 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Theo Epstein is joining the Red Sox or the Fenway whatever ownership group.
The Fenway Sports Group there?
So does that mean he can't be executive anymore?
Yeah, well, he left it. He has to then leave his gig at Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm wondering if they're then going to sell the team to him at some point.
Mark, I know we got a ways to go. I think the Tigers turn the corner this year.
I hope so.
I think they win the Central.
I
mean, they'll have as good a chance as anybody.
I would have felt a lot. Do you think you have enough starting pitching? I think if the lefty had stayed,
yeah, Erod.
I think I'd be willing to back you financially with that.
So the big thing, this is the big X factor, is Mize is coming back off Tommy John.
Yeah, but see, then he'll only throw like 100 innings. They don't.
I know.
They don't ever let these guys pitch. You know, I don't even know if they let you go 140 innings when you come back from Tommy John.
It's the trifecta of young pitchers. It's the Skubal, Manning, Mize.
Well, listen, in all honesty, if I had a pitcher coming back off Tommy John, I wouldn't pitch him till June.
And they might not.
By the way, according to this article I'm reading, David, I just want to let you know the 3 teams that they have suggested for LeBron are the Sixers, the Heat, and the Knicks.
I knew it. 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 It's because when LeBron was becoming a free agent a couple years ago, and there's that scene with him and D Wade, and I think it was the last time they were going to play against each other, and LeBron hugs him, and they're just reminiscing, and LeBron said, well, you know, this was either going to happen here or at the Garden. And it was kind of like the first time that LeBron basically showed, you know, he was either going to play for the Lakers or the Knicks.
That would be so awesome if he went.
Listen, this is how bad of an owner James Dolan is. You ask the majority of the players in the league, the Garden wins favorite arena. You can't vote for your own arena. Favorite arena to play in, Madison Square Garden. Favorite road trip, New York. Miami's very high too. But that's how bad an owner James Dolan is. The players love playing in the Garden and love going to New York for obvious reasons.
If LeBron wins a title with the Knicks, would you say he's the greatest ever?
No.
That wouldn't do it for you?
No.
Resurrecting the Knicks and winning with a fourth team?
Well, first off, I mean, the Knicks are quote-unquote resurrected. Whether they're going to be a champion or not, it's a different story. But actually, first off, it's an awful fit. For them to put LeBron on the Knicks is ridiculous. LeBron needs the ball, and you can't take the ball out of Jalen Brunson's hands right now. I mean, he's one of the 10 best players in the league right now. You can't take the ball out of Jalen Brunson's hands, even for LeBron James. This is 38, 39-year-old LeBron James we're talking here.
I would love to see it, though.
Oh, I mean, I just don't know. And he can't guard anybody anymore.
Okay, coming back.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes after the hour, the Diamond District bonus hour. Thanks so much for being with us, Miller and Moulton. So, we're just going to throw this out there for 13 seconds. There are actually LeBron James trade rumors out there now.
Have to hand it to the association. They're in a little lull. Not a lot, they're not getting talked about. It's Super Bowl week coming up here, and they need to get back on the front page. How do you best do it? Float some LeBron trade rumors out there.
There are numerous NBA reporters that are saying, listen, no BS. The Lakers GM, Rob Pelinka, in the last 24 or so hours has actually, let a few people around the league know. So if we made LeBron available, what would you give us? That's out there. LeBron, of course, 24 or so hours ago sent out an hourglass tweet.
Yes.
Like time running out. Even Trent commented on it. What does that mean? Time running out with the Lakers, time running out in the league, time running out on their season. What does it mean? Right. So just so you know, that's out there. And Mark, how does that affect LeBron's legacy? More on First Take coming up. But to this question that I teased, all right, and hopefully it can live up to the tease. Now, here's the historical perspective before the question. Last year, do you know how many NFL head coaching vacancies there were?
7 or 6? There's only 5?
5.
Okay.
All right. So think about the coaches that were hired at these 5 stops a year ago. The Colts, the Texans, the Cardinals, the Panthers, and Sean Payton in Denver. And so if we ask the question a year ago at this time, who made the best hire? What team is going to have the most success in 2023? If we had asked that a year ago, we would have been mocked for even asking the questions. Like, you idiots, it's Sean Payton in Denver.
Right.
And how many of you would have voted for D'Amico Ryans in Houston?
0. And if they tell you they would have, they're lying.
And of course, the guy who got hired in Carolina didn't even make it through the year. So now, a year later, here we go. We've had 8. Damn, that's a lot.
Yes, it is.
So, Harbaugh with the Chargers, Raheem Morris in Atlanta, Gerard Mayo with the Patriots, Pierce with the Raiders, Canales in Carolina, Dan Quinn in Washington, Brian Callahan, the former Bengals offensive coordinator in Tennessee, and the Ravens coordinator, Mike McDonald in Seattle. Now, I think you can ask 2 different questions. I think you can ask, 5 years from now when we judge this, what's going to be the best hire? But then you can also just flat out ask right now, $20, our $20. Those 8 teams, which one's going to win the most games in 2024? Chargers, Falcons, Patriots, Raiders, Panthers, Commanders, Titans, Seahawks.
Give me the Falcons.
I think you're right.
Raheem Morris, it's a culture fit.
I think you're right, but I think the Chargers will be close.
I could see that.
But Chargers, when you do that because of the division and everything that's going on, and because we all think Kirk Cousins is going to Atlanta.
Yeah, we're kind
Although I will say, who was it? Former Seahawk teammate of Russell Wilson's, who did a podcast with Trey Wingo a day or 2 ago, and Wingo brought up Russ, and he said, "Yeah, I see him in Atlanta." And he kind of gave the impression like he's, he's still friendly with Russ. They talk. And he gave the impression, yeah, I see Russ in Atlanta. Interesting.
If that's the case, then I will take the LA Chargers.
Yeah, I forgot you're not a Russ guy at all.
Not at all.
Never have been. But I think best hire and who wins the most games is 2 different questions, right?
Yes, it is, because the best hire, let's have a 5-year or so body of work.
Sure.
Okay, but just next year. I mean, come on now. If we'd asked, both questions a year ago at this time, Colts, Texans, Cardinals, Panthers, Broncos, how many people would have voted for the Texans to win the most games in 2023?
Nobody.
Especially with the Jags coming off the year they were coming off. I don't think anyone would have picked Houston. Rookie quarterback.
If by chance we knew the future and we had in parenthesis one of these 5 teams would make the playoffs, who would it be? Would anybody have voted for a team other than Denver?
No.
So, that's the beauty of this league. A lot can change in a year. By the way, quick sidebar, Mark. If I were to say to you, which quarterback would you rather have in Atlanta? Kirk Cousins, obviously. Justin Fields or Russell Wilson?
Kirk Cousins.
Trent, it's an old joke. He'll explain it to you in the break.
Boy, Justin Fields.
Wow. Okay. That, by the way, could be a poll question next week.
That could be a poll
now,
question.
are we factoring in the contract, or are we just saying?
I'm telling you who I'd rather have as my quarterback going forward.
Well, here, you got to remember, if Russ ends up in Atlanta, it's because he's been cut. So they, whatever they signed him for, that's on them. And Russ is going to go where he can play. How many places are going to call Russ up and say, hey, you're our starting quarterback tomorrow if you sign? Seriously. How many places are going to call Russell Wilson up and say, listen, if you sign with us, you're a starter from day one?
Maybe
no competition
Washington.
either. Where?
Maybe Washington.
Okay. That'd be interesting. Dan Quinn obviously goes all the way back to young Russ. You know, the Dan's 2 years in Seattle, they went to the Super Bowls both years with Russ and that defense. So, okay, fine. I'll give you that. That's a good, I can see that phone call. Short-term solution. Russ's starter, bring the kid from Carolina who's on the roster, make him the backup. Okay. Where else?
I mean, Atlanta. We already mentioned Atlanta.
Yeah. Where else?
It's a good question, David.
I mean, unless Minnesota loses Cousins, maybe
Right.
Plan B in Minnesota. You know, okay. Otherwise, no place in the NFC South, no place in the NFC West.
What about New England?
Well, that would be interesting. I have to admit, I think the fan base would be like, really?
Oh,
We're
the
going
fan
with a
base would hate it.
We're going with a 36-year-old quarterback who's not Tom Brady?
But there aren't.
No.
It's not that every team has a franchise quarterback, but there aren't that many quarterback jobs available for starters.
Right. I mean, Tennessee's not going to call them up and say, by the way, they're wanting the kid they drafted in the second round last year. We just came up with 3 scenarios, we think. Atlanta, Washington, and Minnesota. The only 3 teams we think would say to Russ, hey, you sign here, you're our starter.
I think you got to throw New England in that mix because they don't have a starting quarterback.
All right. So we got 4. But, all right, back to the question at hand. So, which team wins the most games next year? Chargers, Falcons, Patriots, Raiders, Panthers, Commanders, Titans, Seahawks. Remember, Seahawks won 9 games.
Chargers.
I got the Falcons.
Where are you going, David?
Well, I'm going Atlanta. First off, I actually, I would have hired Belichick, but I like the Raheem Morris hire. I think he's going to do a solid job. I like their roster. They're going to get a quarterback.
It's usually one double-digit loss team that makes the playoffs the following year. Chargers lost 12 games.
Falcons lost 10.
Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was the day when and what's on tap. It's how we finish things off and get you ready for the weekend right here on Miller and Moulton.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best. And the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few jewelry stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Sit down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you hear what Harbaugh said yesterday, by the way? God, he's nuts.
Which
I love
part?
him.
The RV?
The RV. I mean, basically said, I'm going to live in a van down by the river.
Huh?
He's a lunatic.
He is. He is nuts. I think he's bipolar, but they're going to win.
What's the over-under that we put on seasons for him there?
4.5.
4.5.
Under.
4.5.
I like the under. I do think they're going to be good this year or next year, however you want to say it, because
I got to find out where we got to get Gardner Minshew on this show.
Okay.
Because is he in the van down by the river in Naples?
Is it in Naples?
Minshew mania. I think Harbaugh could be the best hire, but I think the Morris and the Falcons will win the most games. Immediate success. Because I think they could seriously win 12 games. And the Chargers are probably looking at 10 or 11 in a wild card. It's early, though. A lot can happen in the offseason. We'll see.
So where were the places rumored for LeBron? Philly,
Knicks, Sixers, Heat.
Just funny because I keep reading about Dallas.
This is just one story that I pulled up.
So. I know. But how in the world in Dallas? There's not enough basketballs for Kyrie. How in the world are there going to be enough basketballs for LeBron, Luka, and Kyrie?
Kyrie would probably be in the trade. I would assume.
I don't think LeBron would go if Kyrie was in the trade.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
Philly,
I hope we get something.
Philly would be great, though. I mean, because LeBron would set up Maxey, and I mean, with LeBron as your number 3 scoring option. Holy crap!
I want the Knicks just because I think he would look so good in that jersey.
This kills me to say this. I just no, not now. Timing.
Yeah, and like as a Knicks fan, obviously, I will trust your judgment on it.
Listen. If the Knicks are going to make a major trade, the position is a 2 guard. Like if the Knicks could. Are you serious?
Well, who's available?
I understand. But, first off, until 10 minutes ago, LeBron wasn't available. I'm talking about if you're making a major trade, you're picking up the phone, you're calling somebody, you are overpaying to pry away a guy who I think, because I don't think the Knicks can get to the Knicks would have to have a Heat-like run last year to go to the finals, where they just kind of upset some teams, but they're not as good as where they ended up.
So Greeny must have the week off. I get in the car because I listen to this station on the way to work, and I get in the car and it's on, and his Danettes are doing the show, and they're talking about and this is Disney, and they're very mindful of that it's a Disney company, and they start talking about, have you ever shaken hands? Do you shake hands or fist bump in the bathroom, and how wrong it is to shake anybody's hand in the bathroom, and the one guy said, and I don't know which, because I don't know who that is. You mean you never pounded it in the bathroom? I nearly drove off the road. I'm like, I go, these guys might not be on the air tomorrow. So I am very curious to get in the car and see what they're doing at 10 o'clock. I'm really curious.
If all of a sudden they called Greeny and said, you have to be back here. He's like, it's a Friday. I've got it off. No. You have to come back now. Well, obviously not, Logic Man.
All right, here we go.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until we're out of here. It's actually till the top of the hour. 16 until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, Diamond District bonus hour. Thanks so much for being with us. It'll be the first full week of February next week. It'll be Super Bowl week. I don't know how we're going to do with guests, though. Everybody's out in Vegas. Time change and all. Not good for us.
No, it's tough for the morning show on the East Coast when the Super Bowl is on the West Coast.
Correct.
There is no doubt.
I'll get John Perry on, though. We'll talk about refereeing a Super Bowl.
There you go.
We'll get John on. Might be news to John if he's driving around Southwest Florida right now listening. You're coming on the show next week, buddy.
There's a few other ex-NFL coaches and players that make the 239 their home. We may have to get sneaky next week.
Yeah, so you have to call some people up. Say, hey, we've left you alone. We need you.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
I don't have a lot today. We start in 1653, however. Trent, New Amsterdam becomes a city. What city is that now?
I couldn't even tell you.
It's New York City, Trent.
New Amsterdam was the name of New York City before.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Learn something new every day.
Couple things today. We started with you learning this morning before the show. We're not finished, Trent.
Class is in session.
The National League forms today in 1876. Boston, Chicago, Cincinnati, Hartford, Louisville, New York, Philadelphia, and St. Louis were the original National League cities. 1892, the bottle cap was invented. We still use the same bottle caps today.
Well, when you get it right.
Right? 1949, Ben Hogan's horrific auto accident. 1973, the Midnight Special debuts on NBC.
Is that Don Kirshner or no?
That's Wolfman Jack, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Barbra Streisand's first number one was today in 74, The Way We Were. Scotty Bowman becomes the first NHL coach to 1,000 wins today in 1997. Super Bowl 48 was in 2014. Seattle pounded Denver.
That was the game in Jersey.
It was. Who was the MVP, David?
It was, oh, man, it was a Seahawks linebacker. I think.
You're right.
But not the, I forget.
Malcolm Smith.
There we go.
Your MVP. And today in 2020 was Super Bowl 54. Kansas City 31, San Francisco 20 at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Patrick Mahomes, your MVP.
Niners with a 10-point fourth quarter lead. Kyle Shanahan has lost 3 conference championship games or Super Bowls with 10 or more point leads in the fourth quarter. Sammy Watkins, probably greatest day in the NFL that day. Had the big catch against Richard Sherman. Got him down inside the 10 on the go-ahead score.
George Halas, Howard Johnson, the hotel Howard Johnson. Tommy Smothers and Farrah Fawcett all born today. Christy Brinkley is 70.
And she's looking for love. And I'm not being flippant. She gave an interview recently in which she said, I'm open to love, but I got to admit, it's slim pickings out here. Which, of course, I think had a whole bunch of people all across the world that were like, can I raise my hand and get in the game? No.
And Shakira's 47. That's all I got, David. What'd I miss?
Well, first Groundhog Day was today in 1887, for what it's worth. Today's a big die of a drug overdose.
We couldn't interview the groundhog.
Well, no, we know it was the first Groundhog Day. We just don't know if the groundhog's, forecast. If the rodent meteorologist gets it right or not. To this day in 79, Sid Vicious died of an overdose. And on this day 10 years ago, Philip Seymour Hoffman passed away.
Ironically, both dying of the same overdose.
Mm-hmm. I think in the same city.
I believe you're right.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Go to Maryland for the good, where a Maryland man said he had a lousy day, and he went to the Royal Farms, first off, in Frederick, Maryland, on English Muffin Way. David, somehow I have got to send you to Frederick, Maryland, so you can spend some time on English Muffin Way. That's your road.
I'd buy a house. I'd never leave.
But he went to the Royal Farms on English Muffin Way to cheer himself up after a bad day working for the post office. Bought himself a Powerball ticket, won himself $100,000. So if you're having a lousy day, I suggest the Powerball for you today. For the bad, we go to Lehigh Acres, what could have been a tragic ugly. Guy blows a tire on the road, hits a pedestrian bridge that causes a pole to impale through the windshield of his car.
Oh, wow.
He walked away, was basically ripped with a ripped jacket. The only thing that happened to him, blew the tire, hit the bridge, the pole goes through the windshield, and fortunately, he walked away from the crash. Finally, the ugly. We go to Fort Myers, where Rocco Benedetto is now in custody. You see, he ripped off a 3.5-foot Snoop Dogg bobblehead from Cantina Laredo earlier this week. When the story went viral, he decided to return the bobblehead to the restaurant. The restaurant didn't find it as funny. They're pressing charges against the 50-year-old, branding the suspect the dog napper.
The dog napper.
The Snoop Dogg 3.5-foot bobblehead's worth like $1,250.
Says a lot about us, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yep.
Again, I don't know if there's a person in music who's more marketable than Snoop Dogg. Not even Taylor Swift.
Stop it.
Stop.
Some people don't. Some
stop.
people get annoyed with Taylor Swift.
Some people, right.
Who gets annoyed with Snoop Dogg? Nobody. Everyone loves Snoop Dogg. Think about it. He's number one, baby.
That's the good, the bad, and the ugly. On today, Groundhog's Day, 2024.
It is not a good sports day today. It just isn't. I mean, first off, tomorrow's the day in college basketball. If you're not going to watch much college basketball until the tournament, watch it tomorrow, though. Terrific day. Noon, UConn and St. John's at Madison Square Garden. 4 o'clock, Houston at Kansas. You got Duke, Carolina. You got Kentucky, Tennessee at night. I mean, it's really good tomorrow. Really, really good tomorrow.
And I believe even on Sunday, you've got Purdue and Wisconsin playing one another. So, and that's an early game. So, good college hoop this weekend.
Yes, and there were a bunch of upsets this week of people getting caught the game before their big game. Like you mentioned, Purdue, Wisconsin. Wisconsin got caught in the second half against Nebraska yesterday. Carolina lost at Georgia Tech in the middle of the week. Tennessee lost at home to South Carolina. That's 3 top 6 teams who lost this week.
Kentucky lost to Florida.
Right. That's a top 10 team losing at home. I mean, 2 of these top 10 teams who lost at home. And ironically, they play each other. Tennessee and Kentucky. Tonight we do have 7 o'clock FS1, Ohio State, Iowa. And 9 o'clock, Butler, Creighton. Creighton's ranked. So that's your FS1 college hoops doubleheader tonight. What's going on with the NBA tonight? Unless I'm reading incorrectly, is there like no national television tonight for the NBA? I'm not seeing any ESPN double dip on Friday. Isn't Friday an ESPN doubleheader day? Anyway, Heat in Washington tonight, Orlando in Minnesota tonight.
I mean, if the Spurs game's not on ESPN, what game are they going to put on, David?
I know. They're hosting Zion in New Orleans, for goodness sakes. So, but not a great NBA night, too. There's not, not a bunch of great games either. NHL, it's All-Star Weekend.
Skills competitions on ESPN tonight.
Ah, that's why. Got it. This just in, by the way, the Wednesday night NBA games on ABC are not doing well. Like 1.4 million people watched Wednesday night on ABC.
Holy cow.
Yes, it is difficult to get viewership that low on network television. I mean, the NBA on Wednesday night on ABC is not working right now. Now, they're still going to get their huge TV deal, and these networks are falling all over themselves because live sports programming is the only thing people are watching. But they're not watching Wednesday night NBA on ABC. I'll tell you that.
I will say, and you brought up all the college hoop this weekend, if you are so inclined to watch college hoop tonight, we've talked a little Dayton. They're a pretty good team. They play the Bonnies tonight at home on ESPN2. If you want to watch a team that's, a 3-4 seed type team, maybe 5 seed in Dayton, someone to take a look at tonight.
Let me ask you guys the question you asked Reegs yesterday. Which game Saturday are you most pumped up for?
Oh, Duke,
Houston, Kansas.
Houston, Kansas.
Yeah.
Okay. I can get behind that. David, I'm sure it's a no-brainer for you. It's Duke, North Carolina.
Well, it is because much like what Jay Williams said, at Duke, Carolina, they're going to go up and down the floor. Kansas, Houston's going to be a rock fight. I don't like watching Houston. I respect Kelvin Sampson. He's done an amazing job, the whole deal. It's tough to watch the Houston Cougars play.
And because it's a chance for Kansas to not win the Big 12. And they win it every year.
I'm pretty pumped up for Tennessee, Kentucky. Both those teams suffering a bad loss this week, looking to get back on track. That'll be
score.
a good one. That's a rivalry game.
And they score.
Yeah. I think Kentucky will beat them. It's at Rupp. But great hoops all weekend. Take it in, everybody. Take it in.
Big game tomorrow night for the FGCU men, by the way. They've won 2 in a row. They've spanked 2 opponents in a row. They've been very inconsistent, so I hesitate to say that maybe they've found themselves, but they're at North Alabama tomorrow. That's a winnable game. And if they win it, they go from the bottom third of the conference to the top third of the conference in 48 hours. They're in a 5-way tie for 4th right now in the A-Sun. They put a couple more wins together, they'll be like T3 in the conference, and all of a sudden they'll be in the standings where they were predicted to be. So big game tomorrow night for the FGCU men at North Alabama.
After coming off a great win in their last game against Central Arkansas, they just slaughtered them right from the word go.
Right. And then they whacked their last home game. They won by 20 plus. So they got it going on the last week. They got it going on. Remember, they had that great week when they beat FAU and they won 4 in a row, and then they had a tailspin for 2-3 weeks. Well, now they got a good week going. All right.
Same thing for the Gators after the big win at Kentucky. Go beat A&M tomorrow. That's a team you should beat. But don't slip up on the road and start putting a little momentum together.
Everything's still right in front of the Gators. They can put themselves firmly on the right side of that bubble.
Absolutely.
A couple wins here.
By the way, tomorrow night, FGCU, Mr. 600 wins, Carl Semesco. They've won 11 in a row. They're in first.
They won't lose again until the tournament. And I don't mean the A-Sun tournament.
There's a decent chance of that, yeah.
That's what they do. Unfortunately, I'm not unfortunately. Unfortunately, they don't get the support that they deserve for all the success that they have.
If that's the case, by the way, if they sweep the A-Sun, that's 8 more regular season games, 3 more tournament games. They'd enter the NCAA tournament with a 22-game winning streak. They'd enter with 29 wins. Remember, it's them and UConn who have won 25 or more games 13 years in a row. Have a great weekend. Maybe spend a little time with family.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense